Good evening, everyone. I now call to order the regular meeting of the City Council and Housing Authority for Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. Now, please stand and join as a video is going to play the national anthem, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Raise it. Arm.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Great trumpet playing. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to do our moment of solemn expression, and we're very, very fortunate to have from Redemption Church, Pastor Christine Nolf, she's here. Yeah, there she is. She's going to put us all at ease and at peace. She's probably one of the best at the solemn expression, so raise your expectations.
Oh my, I hope I don't disappoint. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council, and all my Costa Mesa neighbors. Nice to see you all. I was reflecting on how this is called a moment of solemn expression, and what were the solemn things that I might want to express this evening. And I thought of two things. One is, just as a pastor in Costa Mesa and a lifelong Costa Mesan, I want to express my great love for Costa Mesans, for my neighbors. And just share that I solemnly express that I understand myself as a pastor of our city and of Costa Mesa, and make myself available in that capacity to my neighbors, to the staff, to the council. If anyone's looking for care or direction, I take my role in the city as a pastor very seriously. And secondly, I just think that it would be appropriate to remind us of a appropriate focus of leadership as we come to the end of this year. In all the major religions, there's a focus on some people. In my tradition, the widow, the orphan, and the foreigner. In the New Testament, St. Paul says to remember the poor. So I close with a expression from the Psalms for our communal reflection. This is Psalm 72, and it's a psalm for rulers. Endow the king with your justice, O God, the royal one with your righteousness. May he judge your people in righteousness, your afflicted ones with justice. May the mountains bring prosperity to the people, the hills the fruit of righteousness. May he defend the afflicted among the people and save the children of the needy. May he crush the oppressor. May he endure as long as the sun, as long as the moon, through all generations. May he be like falling rain on a mown field, like showers watering the earth. In his days may the righteous flourish and prosperity abound till the moon is no more. For the rulers will deliver the needy who cry out, the afflicted ones who have no one to help. They will take pity on the weak and the needy and save the needy from death. May they rescue them from oppression and violence, for precious is their blood in his sight. May that be true of those who rule in our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You guys can clap. Thank you. Okay, so the city has received one request pursuant to AB 2449 to participate remotely by Councilmember Marr. Councilmember Marr, would you please state the reason for the request to participate remotely?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not attending as I am ill, so I am home alone to take the meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, would you please do the roll call?
Mr. Mayor, the record will reflect that all council is present except for Councilmember Reynolds. And yes, that Councilmember Marr is participating remotely.
Wonderful. City Attorney, do you have a closed session report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Direction was given in closed session. No formal action was taken.
Thank you very much. So today we have one presentation, or tonight, we're recognizing Movember, an important global movement that is making a difference in men's health, and to celebrate how our local heroes in Costa Mesa, from our fire and rescue department and our police department, you didn't necessarily have to sit on the different sides, but that's all good. It's all good. It's like the bride and the groom, I guess, you know. Taking this mission to heart. Today we are proud to present this Movember proclamation to 4 incredible groups that have gone above and beyond their commitment to raising awareness for men's health. The Costa Mesa Police Department, the Costa Mesa Fire and Rescue Department, and the Costa Mesa Police Officers Association, and the Costa Mesa Firefighters Association. The Costa Mesa Police Department, in partnership with the Costa Mesa Police Officers Association, has combined National Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October with No Shave November to emphasize the critical importance of early detection in the fight against cancer. The Costa Mesa Fire and Rescue Department and the Costa Mesa Firefighters Association have taken a unique and creative approach to raising awareness. Through the CMFA's annual Stash-tober fundraiser, they have turned mustache growing into a fun, lighthearted competition that highlights the importance of men's health and raises funds that go directly back into supporting our community. Movember is more than a movement, it is a call to action. It is about raising awareness of men's mental health, prostate cancer, and testicular cancer, and encouraging conversations that might not always be easy, but are essential. This movement challenges men to grow, move, and prioritize their health, not just for themselves, but for their families, friends, and communities. Thank you for your dedication and for leading by example, as you always do. Together, we can continue to change the face of men's health, no pun intended, and support those in need across Costa Mesa and beyond. So now I'd like to invite some representatives from each of those groups to the podium, and then I'm going to read an excerpt from the proclamation. Chief Dan Stefano from the PD, Officer Jose Soto Leva, and Lieutenant Michelle Bradbury. From the Firefighters Association, Captain Steve Cathy, and from the Costa Mesa Police Officers Association, Sergeant George Meridakis. And when I'm done reading excerpts from the proclamation, they'll say a few words, and then we will do our photo opportunity with the entire group. So here's from the proclamation. So you guys can come up now, the ones that I mentioned, and then when I'm ready, after I'm done reading the excerpts, then you'll get the floor. Movember serves as a reminder that men are often less likely to seek help for health concerns, and that early intervention is crucial in the prevention and treatment of many of the conditions that disproportionately affect men. Movember encourages the growing of mustaches to spark discussion and increase visibility for important health issues. with the shared goal of breaking down barriers to men's health and promoting healthier, happier lives for all men. 1 in 7 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in his lifetime. And treatment options for prostate cancer vary depending on a man's age, stage, and grade of his cancer, as well as other existing medical conditions. And testicular cancer is the most common cancer in males between the ages 15 and 34. 1 in 4 adults in the U.S. will experience a mental health problem in any given year, and 87 men in the United States die of suicide every day. The city of Costa Mesa is committed to raising awareness about men's health issues and its effect on fathers, sons, brothers, uncles, and husbands across Costa Mesa and the world. The city of Costa Mesa encourages its residents to talk about their mental health and commit to a stigma-free culture. Now, therefore, I, John B. Stevens, Mayor of the City of Costa Mesa, do hereby proclaim November 2024 as Movember and urge all Costa Mesa residents to join in the movement to change the face of men's health. And with that, let's start with the Fire Department and Association, and we'll move on to the Police Department and Association.
Well, Mayor Stevens, members of the council, thank you so much for taking this time to acknowledge men's health. I know also for us, as we talk about October and Stashtober, women's health, it's such a priority for us, and to be able to highlight this and really shine a light on how important it is for both men's health and women's health. So proud of what the department has done, and that's on duty and off duty, and our firefighters local 1465, the leadership they've shown, what they've gone out into the community, so on off duty as well. But just so proud of the great work that our personnel do across the board. And I thank this council for taking the time to recognize that. And also want to say thank you to the city leadership, Lori Ann Fiddler-Harrison, and her leadership in recognizing and giving us this opportunity, this platform. And with that, I'll turn it over to Captain Steve Cathy, President of Local 1465. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Thank you so much for this wonderful night. Just offhand, you said some amazing words, Mr. Mayor, and basically took the wind out of my sails. But I want to thank Kyle Mishka for running our Stashtober this year. We, not only it's men's health, but we also recognize the women for breast cancer awareness. So that it's not only just us, but it's the women within the department also. So thank you so much. On a lighter note, our members, our wives are here, and they can't wait for December 1st to come, especially my wife, because she wants this thing gone. But thank you so much, and I appreciate everything. Thank you, everybody that's here.
Looks really good, though, Captain. It does. Okay, let's hear from the Police Department and Police Association. Police Officers Association.
Sorry, I'm a little short. Good evening, Mayor Stevens, council members, and everyone here tonight. My name is Jose Soto. I'm an officer with the Costa Mesa Police Department. It's an honor to stand here before you. This past month, our team participated in the No Shame November. Not only was it a nice break from the razors, but it also has a real purpose. We raised awareness for men's health and breast cancer awareness. Together, we raised approximately about $7,000 and still going. And I couldn't be prouder for the team and the community we have for supporting these causes. This year, we also kicked off our first ever Hoops for Hope game, where the Costa Mesa Police Department officers took on the local teachers in a friendly basketball game. I have a big shout out to our basketball team and all the officers in attendance who played their heart out. Sure, the teachers came out on top, but we showed up in full force, an incredible cause. Special thanks to Sergeant Garcia, Sergeant Lee for helping me set up the event and make it a reality. Next year, we'd love to have the firefighters join us for No Shame November. Not only can it double the funds we raise, but of course, I mean, you guys are the real heroes, at least I believe it. We're looking forward to this growing tradition even more. And another tradition we're starting to is the Santa Sleigh program that we have here in Costa Mesa that we started last year, where we pretty much got a Santa, drove around the city. We were able to give candies to the cities and get a photo op with all the children. They all loved it, and we loved it the most, and it was just a great opportunity. Lastly, I just want to give a heartfelt thank thank you to my wife, Allie, for her constant support through all of this. I'm not looking for any recognition, though. I am humbled and grateful to speak here tonight. I do this because I believe in making a positive impact in our community and supporting the causes that matter to the people we serve. Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we're gonna take a photo, and why don't we, whoever wants to get in it, police, fire, we're gonna present the proclamations, but please, let's have a big group. Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks for the shout out. I never seen this up front.
She has her own gym now. I'm trying to get her.
Hey.
Yeah, what a surprise that I never see myself.
That was nice to get. So we're gonna let everybody file out, but yeah, hey, one more time for our police and firefighters. I'm not just saying that, but we have the best police and firefighters in the world, I would say, and I don't exaggerate. Okay, so now it's time for public comments. So everybody gets a chance to get 3 minutes if you're speaking in English. If you're speaking in the Spanish translation, you get 5 minutes, so 2 extra minutes. At public comment, you could talk about anything that's not on the main agenda. You could talk on the consent calendar items or anything else, but you only get 3 minutes. We go to the people in the chambers first, then we go to the folks on Zoom. When you have 1 minute left, so at 2 minutes, you'll hear a beep and you'll see a light. You have 1 minute to wrap up. After that, your microphone will cut off. And with that, let's start out with Jay Humphrey. He's our leadoff hitter. So you have the floor, Jay.
Good evening, Council. Jay Humphrey, Costa Mesa resident. I just wanted to share with you a article in the Orange County Register recently about cost of housing, and they did a report on the cost to rent a 3-bedroom house in cities across the U.S. that were either large cities above 250,000 people or medium-sized cities that were 100,000 to 150,000 people. And interestingly enough, Costa Mesa ranked second, highest cost to rent a house in the nation, not the state, not the county, the whole nation. And we should keep that in mind, that when we start talking about how we can affect that, there's only a few ways to affect that, and that's not going to be easy, because the truth of the matter is, number 1 was Huntington Beach, number 2 in the nation for large cities was Irvine, and of course Newport Beach wasn't reported because it's less than 100,000 people. So consequently, we now have a distinction of being right up there. Unlike on Measure K, when it was, I remember all those yard signs out there saying how rents were going to be reduced in Costa Mesa with Measure K. Interestingly enough, rents haven't been reduced. And with the passage of our affordable housing bill, you guys decided to make in lieu fees for affordable housing to be half of what the expert had to say about it, which means that you can't build the affordable housing for that amount of money. So they'll give us an in lieu fee, and Costa Mesa will continue to stay at the top of that pile because it won't even be adding in substantial amounts of affordable housing into the mix to actually, by simple math, reducing the housing price. So the ads for Measure K that were out there that actually gave them a very slim margin to reduce rents in Costa Mesa proved to not be very valid right at this moment. Granted, if you add 1 affordable housing unit on the total average by math, you will have reduced the average rental price in the city of Costa Mesa. But let's be reasonable. 1 penny is substantially different than thousands of dollars. I thank you very much for your time always, and let's hope that somewhere in the future we find a solution to this problem that is functional and not helping the developers just build buildings. Thank you much.
Thank you very much. Okay. You have the floor.
Buenas noches, concejales y senadores. Mi nombre es María Teresa López.
Good evening, council members. My name is María Teresa López.
Solamente vengo a recordarles cuáles son sus planes con lo del callejón de la Center. No hemos visto, ahora sí, han ido a atrasar el callejón, pero nos habían dicho que en octubre, ¿verdad? No sé cuáles sean sus planes ahorita, que nos tengan más información acerca de qué es lo que está pasando, qué es lo que va a pasar.
Yes, I'm here to remind you regarding and to talk about the alley on Center Street. They have already do some painting. We talk about October, but we would like to get more information regarding what is going to take place or when it's going to be done.
Sí, también quiero agradecerle al concejal y a los congresistas por los taxis gratuitos, los viajes. Muchas gracias. Creo que lo han ocupado muchas personas. Hemos dado como de calificación las 5 estrellas. Creo que el servicio ha sido muy bueno, pero nos gustaría que se ampliara un poquito más y que se fuera, no empezara de las 8, sino que de las 7 de la mañana.
I would also like to thank you to all the council and the council members for the free shuttle service. It's been a great service. We, the people, are very happy, very pleased. We would like, as we say, we gave it a 5 stars. It's a great service again, but we would like to see if the service could start at 7 a.m. instead of 8 a.m.
¿Por qué a las 7? Porque muchos llevan a sus niños a la escuela y me gustaría que ese servicio lo tomaran.
And why do I say 7 a.m.? Because a lot of people could use this service to take their children to school, and I would like for them to take advantage of it.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, good job. Yes, ma'am.
Buenas noches a todos los que están aquí presentes. Estoy agradecida de estar aquí con ustedes para hacerles una gran petición.
Good evening to all of you. I am grateful to be here, and I have a petition to expose and to make.
En la Plasencia y la Center han habido muchos accidentes. Estamos muy conmovidos porque sí son accidentes fuertes, ¿verdad? Y pido con mucho corazón y con mucha atención a ustedes que si pudieran poner un paso peatonal para que ya no haya más accidentes. Hace un mes ocurrieron más o menos 2 accidentes fuertes.
Yes, and I would like to talk about the crossing of Plasencia and Center. We've had lots of accidents, some of them very big accidents, unfortunate accidents. We would like to request for a crosswalk because we've had 2 big accidents last month.
Muchas gracias por su atención. Les agradezco de corazón y espero que escuchen mi petición para todas las personas que viven en esa área que sí está muy peligrosa. Muy amables. Gracias.
Thank you for all your attention. I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I would like for you to take in consideration this petition because it will benefit all the people that live in that area. Thank you very much.
Que pasen muy buenas noches. Hasta
Have
luego.
a great evening.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Clerk, do we have people on Zoom for public comment?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. First is phone number ending in 613, please.
613, you have the floor.
Yes, hi, good evening. First off, I'd like to piggyback on a couple comments made tonight. One of the reasons why we're having issues on Plasencia is what was done to West 19th Street. Since West 19th Street was turned into a single lane, we've had an extremely large backup on Plasencia, creating many problems. So I think maybe undoing what was done the 19th would be a step in the right direction. And by the way, Center Street is a block away from Plasencia where there's a crosswalk that you can safely cross. Rents, I'd like to talk about rents real quick. Rents are high in Costa Mesa because Costa Mesa is a desirable place to live. It's desirable. We live in probably the best climate in the country. We're next to the ocean, and people want to live here. And it's a shame that this council has taken upon themselves to water down this city for those of us who are fortunate enough to have houses here and not recognize that not everyone gets to live where they want. I do want to make a couple comments about safety caused by West 19th Street. We had a speaker again earlier mentioning crossing at Center Street. My street, Town Street, and Mr. Chief of Police, can you please put a motor officer here in the mornings? Because my street is now a drag strip because 19th Street does not want to be driven by people in this neighborhood. So we have people speeding down our street all hours of the day, and it's now dangerous now because of what was done. And finally, I'd like to end my comments by recognizing Councilmember Harper. I can't imagine how difficult it is to sit up there and be patient and conduct yourself with such grace. I know that I personally couldn't do it, but I do recognize that it must be difficult being such a minority voice and having to just watch and not have the ability to help steer the city in the right direction and just, hang in there and keep going. And on top of that, you mentioned medical issues. So I do want to recognize that I view what you did as a Herculean effort, and it's noticed and appreciated. And, you know, you do represent a big chunk of Costa Mesa that's not represented in this council. This council majority doesn't represent the residents of this city. We need a balanced council, and that's not what we have. We have a left activist council that, I mean, I just watching what you guys believe and what you enact, it doesn't benefit the residents, and it doesn't work in the real world. But again, you know, we need a more balanced council, and hopefully when the ballots are counted, we do get a little bit closer to that. And again, thank you, Councilmember Harper. It's really appreciated that you lend a voice to half of the city. And you're not
That's your
even,
that's your 3 minutes, sir. Thank you. And anybody else?
Yes, R, please.
R? You have the floor.
Hi. I sent you an email, and I am reading the email that I sent you guys, just so you have it on the record. As a resident, stakeholder, and frequent user and avid proponent of the Costa Mesa 311 app, I'm commenting today to bring forward 2 challenges today that I think, if addressed, would make the app even more successful. First, I'm not sure everyone in town is as sure about the meaning of 311 as it might be easy to assume that they do. In anecdotal conversations with neighbors who have lived in Costa Mesa for many years, I found that several simply didn't know that traditionally dialing 311 was how many cities connected their citizens to city services, and that was the concept now being extended to the Costa Mesa 311 app. Missing this important bit of context, these neighbors understandably had far less reason to recognize why and how an app named Costa Mesa 311 might be helpful to them. So a bit more direct explanation of the concept of the app and of 311 might be important for outreach moving forward. As a side note, I have to wonder if the concept of 311 is familiar to non-English speakers as well, or is the concept lost on them? And that leads me to my second point, which is, and I think this is much more important than my first. I think it's of vital importance that the Costa Mesa 311 app be made fully accessible to people who speak Spanish. In public comment at a recent city council meeting, I remember recalling that one resident in Spanish recounted, if I'm correct, recounted seeing an abandoned graffiti-covered mattress that had been left outside in her neighborhood for months. And one has to imagine that if that non-English resident had been empowered to use the Costa Mesa 311 app, she could have alerted the city. And if the impasse was only the language barrier, then again, more specific outreach needs to be done for the app. And technical changes that seem like they might be basic could be made to the app to give users the option to use it in either English or Espanol. The Costa Mesa 311 app is truly an amazing resource that produces real results from city services, and it just needs a little bit more focused education to the general public and some targeted outreach to those underserved populations to help the app help the city even more. And thanks everyone for your time and your continued excellent service to Costa Mesa and its residents. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir.
No further speakers, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we'll close public comment. Thank you to all the public commenters. So we're going to now go to council member committee reports, comments, and suggestions. First up from District 1 is Councilmember Don Harper.
Thank you. It's a long agenda, so I'll try and be brief. As my term as council member comes to a close, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude to the people that come and speak, the people that come and give public comment. Those that attend these meetings, that write letters, share ideas, voice concerns, thank you for your time and energy. The involvement, makes us stronger and makes our process better. Good governance is not achieved in isolation. It's a result of collaboration, debate, collective wisdom, and an engaged community. And hopefully you've made us think and think more critically and make better decisions. And I sincerely appreciate it. And with regard to, I don't always agree with you, and and sometimes I do agree with you, but I really, truly appreciate it. The other thing I want to mention something about the November 5th election, and I'm not going to do a dance. I wouldn't threaten you with that. But I want to mention as it applies to really national politics and local politics. And I said this when I got elected. There's a lot of people that didn't vote for me. You know, you win these elections 49-51 or 45-54, and I've never seen them as a mandate, but I've seen them as, you know, it's always close, and it's close. We've got a District 6 election, the council election is very close right now, and Jeff, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting you get to stay home, like I'm going to be home in a week or a month. I mean that in the nicest way, Jeff. But it's important as council members we recognize there's a whole lot of people out there that might disagree with our ideas, and we still got to listen. And that's why I'm so grateful that people come and talk and get engaged. And if we don't listen, they lose interest, and we lose that valuable resource. So thank you, and I'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you very much, council member. Now, for the next council member is Councilmember Mar from District 3, and she's on Zoom. Councilmember Mar, you have the floor.
I don't have anything tonight. I'll let the next person talk. Thanks.
All right, get well soon. Next up is Councilmember Manuel Chavez from District 4.
Thank you, Mayor Stevens. Thank you everyone for joining us today, especially the students. I know you're here for your class, but happy to be part of democracy in Costa Mesa. Really just 3 comments and based off of public comment. The first one on the alleyway. I mentioned some residents privately, but I'll share publicly. The city has contacted the appropriate property owners, and we've already given them notices that we would like to see the alleyway improved. We know it's a public health issue, and we're going to do our due diligence and give them the time they have to remedy the issue. And if not, we will move forward with other options. But we do hear you, and we are addressing that issue as fast as we can. But thank you guys for constantly bringing up that to our attention. Second, on the Placentia and Tenor Street intersection, I had a meeting with city staff 2 weeks ago about the intersection. We have looked at preliminary plans, and we'll be moving forward with that once we get more funding, most likely next budget year. But we are looking at ways to do sidewalks that provide safety while also not diminishing the speed of folks going through Placentia. But keep your eyes out for that. Might be a little longer than wanted to be, but we are working on that as well. And then finally, for the 311 app, I agree with the speaker. I always push everyone to have the Coast Mesa 311 app. You're able to take pictures of graffiti, of broken sidewalks, of falling down branches. It's really convenient way for you as a resident to inform the city if things need to be fixed. And I'm full-heartedly supporting us creating some kind of bilingual function in that app. A lot of times folks aren't able to navigate it, and I get text messages or emails with issues. And I think it'd be easier for all of us if residents could just use the app in Spanish and not have to deal with the hurdles. One thing too I've noticed, it's kind of funny, but it's true, having to have an email login for some people is kind of difficult. So if there's a way to just do it as a guest, to report issues as a guest, that'd be really more convenient for folks as well. But that's all my comments for today, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Now from District, you guys can clap for Councilmember Chavez. He enjoys positive affirmation, as we do also. Councilmember Lauren Gameros from District 2 is up next.
So I'm going to be pretty brief tonight. I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and just be safe during the holidays, and remember that there's people out there that have loved ones. So if you're going to celebrate the holidays, make sure that if you're going to drive, you definitely are sober when you do so, or get a ride. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Now from District 6, our Mayor Pro, yeah. Sorry. I should have held for applause. Okay, good work. Thank you. So next up from District 6 is Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Harlan.
I feel a little pressure to get some positive reinforcement now. I have one word written down here on my notes tonight, and that word actually was already stated by Councilmember Harper, and that's gratitude. It's an honor and privilege to sit here. I've been here nearly 8 years, first on the Planning Commission, the last 4 as a council member, and I take it very seriously. It's not an easy job. It's sometimes considered fairly thankless, but I get a great deal of satisfaction out of doing this. And I want to express my gratitude to a lot of people in this chambers tonight, especially staff who I've worked with for years and I've known quite well. And I deeply respect their professionalism and their support and their love for the city. I'm also thankful for my colleagues up here. We've had some spirited discussions over the years. Dawn, I'm looking at you. And I think that's how we make the best decisions for our city. We do have that civic engagement, and I have no doubt all of my colleagues are committed and love the city as much as I do. I won't comment on the election because it's still not quite resolved. But I do want to say that the real satisfaction up here is, as Councilmember Harper had mentioned, hearing from our community, listening to people who come up, who make the effort, both in chambers, by email, just walking around. It's a 24/7 job, and I'm always open to listening to people and getting the best counsel that I can to make the decisions for our community. And so as we approach the holiday season, I urge everyone to think of gratitude in a very meaningful way. Take a look around, spend time with your friends and family, really understand and appreciate what we do have here in Costa Mesa. Not just what we have, but we aspire to be as a community. And with that, thank you and have a happy holidays.
So I don't know about you all, but I'm glad the election's over. I'm not going to miss all those yard signs all over the place and a request for money every 5 seconds texted to me. And although I got texts from pretty much everybody asking me for money, it's good to have it over. And you know, the other thing too, I will say that we work on projects. So here in the city of Costa Mesa, we work on projects, long-term projects such as what we're working on at Fairview Developmental Center. I'm on the OCTA board, and it's just extraordinary, the timelines that they have on some of their projects. They go out for 40 years or more. And I realized that, you know, we're just here for a little bit to be a steward of this great city. And someday, you know, we'll be moving on and we won't be serving anymore. And it's only a matter of time. And then someday we'll be moving on to our great reward and we won't even be here anymore. And if you ever want to do it, it's open. You can do it tonight. You can go around and look at photographs of black and white photographs of all the mayors that goes all the way back to Charles T. Winkle. And we really realized that we stand on the shoulders of the people that preceded us, and then somebody will stand on our shoulders, and we just hope that they're broad enough to hold them up. So speaking of which, perfect segue for, you know, we recognize people and adjourn meetings for people a good amount, and there are certain people that really make their mark on the city of Costa Mesa with their spirit, but also with the tangible things that they do with their lives and the sacrifices and the work and investment they make in our community. And one of those people is Larry Campo. And so I want to read a little bit about him, and then we're going to adjourn the meeting in his honor and memory. So I'd like to take a moment to recognize a pillar of our community and a man of unsurpassed character. Though we are saddened by the recent passing of Larry Campo, it is with great pride and joy that we celebrate such a treasure of the city of Costa Mesa. Larry came to our city in 1964 by way of Saginaw, Michigan. Often referred to as the mayor, Larry established a career in real estate within Costa Mesa as his canvas. Thanks to Larry and his peers, Costa Mesa would develop to become a home for many families, including low-income families. His list of credits include a 15-unit complex on Wallace, a 16-unit complex on Victoria, an 11-unit complex on Bay Street, with several units each designed as affordable housing, proving our city is home to all. If that wasn't enough, he built a 288-unit complex and 22 family homes on Harbor as part of the Harbor Development Center and the 96-unit single resident occupancy complex on Newport Boulevard, which is the first SRO in Orange County. And with 3 active boys in our school system, Larry got involved in coaching many of the neighborhood kids in Harbor area baseball, and somehow found time to upgrade to Costa Mesa High School, Estancia High School, gotta get that right, Estancia High School baseball with new dugouts and a new home run fence. He did all this with a smile, a friendly handshake, and ceaseless integrity. Those that knew him consider themselves lucky, and it is in his honor that we adjourn tonight's Costa Mesa City Council meeting so that we can reflect on all that he and people like Larry in this community have done to continue for the benefit of our great city. And I should mention too, his son Steve is in the audience. Steve, could you stand up and be recognized? Steve, thank you. Steve, on behalf of a grateful city, thank you to you, thank you to your father and your family for all you've given, and we're going to adjourn this meeting, if we ever get to the end of it, in honor of your father and memory of your father. So thank you for being here. Okay, now with that, I don't have any other remarks, and so we'll go to the city manager's report. Ms. Farrell Harrison.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and council members and esteemed members of the public. This evening, I just wanted to provide a couple of updates. One is that our Costa Mesa Network for Homeless Solutions continues to provide incredible continuum of care services to our unhoused population. As of now, we've had more than 400 people housed in the city from the streets since the establishment of the city shelter in April 2019. That's done through a combination of the work that's done through our homeless shelter led by Nate Robbins and his team and John Began, our street outreach teams that are out there every day, working with people who are unhoused to get them the services that they need to get back on their feet. Of course, our police department's community policing unit under the leadership of our esteemed Police Chief Ron Lawrence, and our code enforcement teams that also provide an enormous amount of support and effort with these very challenging issues that folks are facing nowadays. So as you can imagine, as we go into the winter months, the rainy season, it's getting colder. The need for folks to have shelter is that much more important. We're at 87 beds of our 100-bed shelter filled, with still more opportunity for folks to get services. And so I just wanted to remind everyone that we do have a shelter where we can house people that are unhoused, and we do have an extensive network of services that are provided to individuals to get them back on their feet, help them to be productive, get into housing, obtain employment, and be productive members of our society. I also wanted to share that we will be having an update regarding our totally electronic, self-servicing, automated system for permitting throughout the city. That will happen next month, but we did have a short primer that Dan Inlows will share with you this evening. He's been the lead on our TESA implementation. This is our one-stop permitting and licensing application format for the city. It's a new system. It's been in place for about a year, still working through to make it much better every single day, but it's the way that our average residents can have their home improvement plans processed. It's the way that many in the development community come forward with their plans for either housing development, our businesses, if they want to do remodel, rehab, any kind of tenant improvement, it all goes through this system. We are launching a very exciting new feature that we wanted to share with the council, and I'm going to turn it over to Dan for a very quick and brief presentation with much more to follow next month. Dan?
Thank you, City Manager. And good evening, Mayor and fellow City Council members. In August of 2023, the City of Costa Mesa launched TESA. With TESA, we've transitioned from complex, fragmented, paper-based processes to a single, streamlined platform. TESA combines powerful GIS integration with user-friendly features, offering transparency and efficiency for businesses, residents, and developers. TESA allows you to process city applications from home or office, and from application submittal to issuance. However, our counters remain open with staff ready and able to assist in person. Our system is set up to meet our customers where they're at and guide them through the process as far as they are prepared to go. Our staff can give certain simple and swift directions over the counter during a visit. While Tessa has provided a complete remote application solution, it has also helped improve the level of service we can provide at the counter. Since its launch, Tessa has processed over 15,000 applications, registered over 13,000 users, and introduced Tessa to over 4,000 visitors at the counter, and reduced average processing times by 30%. Adjusting to this type of system takes about 3 years, and while we are already seeing efficiency gains, we are continuing to find ways the system can be more customer-friendly for the 170 application types we offer online. An example of this is the most recent modification of Tessa, Insta-Permits. This innovative solution has soft launched with great success and is available now. Insta-Permits allows you to receive approval for 10 specific types of limited permits, like residential re-roofs, water heater replacements, electrical panel upgrades. In under 20 minutes, you can have these permits in your hands. If your plans are ready, there's no waiting. Permits are issued immediately after submitting your application and paying the appropriate fees, allowing you to move forward with the project the same day. To make the process even easier, Tessa's new guide directs you to the exact permit you need. You just answer the questions or select the most appropriate categories, and Tessa leads you right to the right application. Furthermore, city standard plans streamline Insta-Permit submissions and make it so the applicant does not need to make their own plans. After filling in only a few fields and simple site plan, the required plans make it quicker and easier for everyone, from homeowners to developers, to meet guidelines, save money on plans, and proceed with confidence. Staff has been working on Tessa for a while, and the reflection of Costa Mesa's commitment to innovation and excellence is in their work and in our eagerness to hear and receive feedback from the community and implement that feedback. And Insta-Permits is definitely a response to that as well. Thank you.
So council, feel free to get the word out on Insta-Permits. We're really excited about this, and it's already been soft launched, and so we're really excited to be able to provide this service to the public.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, city attorney report.
I just want to say happy birthday to my twins, and I hope everybody has an amazing and wonderful Thanksgiving holiday.
Thank you. So now is the time for the consent calendar. And the way the consent calendar works is everything is supposed to be routine, and it's all acted on in one motion unless an item is pulled for further consideration by either the public, the staff, or the city council. Madam Clerk, have any consent calendar items been pulled?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, by member of the public, item 9 and item 10.
Item 9 and 10. Can I get a motion on the balance, please? Motion by Councilmember Chavez, seconded by Councilmember Harper. Okay. Shall we, we have to do a voice vote?
Yes.
Which is fine. So Madam Clerk, would you please administer the voice vote on the consent calendar other than 9 and 10?
Councilmember Chavez?
Yes.
Councilmember Gameros? Yes. Councilmember Harper?
Yes.
Councilmember Marr? Councilmember Marr?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Harlan?
Yes.
Mayor Stevens?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Excellent. Now, Madam Clerk, would you please read the title for consent calendar item number 9?
Yes, this is the resolution for submittal of a grant application for the Regional Traffic Signal Synchronization Project funding. Can I get a member of the public?
This was pulled by a member of the public, so what I'll do is just open the public hearing on this. Public comment? Anybody?
Hey, Mayor and Council, more of a clarification, I guess, because 9 and 10, I read both 9 and 10, a little overlap there, I think. As I understand it, number 9 that deals with upgrading signals, I guess primarily just on Bristol. And then I'm going to switch to 10. 10 deals with other signal upgrades. So I guess I just was asking for confirmation if 9 deals with just Bristol, and I assume then that Bristol is not included in the signals on number 10. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody on Zoom that wants to comment on it?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll close public comment. Director Sethuraman, did you have a response to Mr. DeBota's question?
Mr. Mayor, allow our senior engineer, Amin Akui, respond to that.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and fellow council members. To answer Mr. Tabota's question, item number 10, the signal modernization for systemic safety improvements, that is a citywide safety improvement project that's going to be, that's part of a federal grant that we won. It was a $4 million grant that's going to upgrade the signal infrastructure around the city for safety improvements. So that's things such as new backplates and LPI, leading pedestrian intervals and things of that nature. The Bristol project, item number 9, that is OCTA's traffic signal synchronization project. That's for usually what that's for is timing improvements and then as well as infrastructure improvements, but not necessarily for safety. So some things that we have for the Bristol project, they don't overlap with the HSIP project. The HSIP project, item number 10, does not reimburse or fund the improvements that are part of item number 9. So that's the distinction. So however, item number 10, that HSIP project, there are intersections on Bristol that are part of that project.
Thank you for answering that question from the public. So if there's nothing else, if there's nobody on Zoom, we established that, right? We close public comment. So then I just need a motion on 9. Motion by Councilmember Chavez, seconded again by Councilmember Harper. You guys are the dream team on these consent calendar items. Let's call for the question.
I'll do Councilmember Gameros?
Yes.
Councilmember
Oh, sorry, voice vote. Yeah, voice vote.
Councilmember Harper? Yes. Councilmember Marr?
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harlan?
Yes.
Mayor Stevens?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Excellent. Then for number 10, open up public comment. Was it Mr. DeBota?
Thank you again. Number 10, thank you, Ramin, for the explanation also. Mentioned the federal grant that for upgrading signals, the $4 million, and that grant was for design and implementation. However, reading the staff report for number 10, it talks about the $300,000 of cost and that the funding will come from, doesn't mention the funding coming from the grant. It mentions coming from capital improvement projects, which is Fund 401. And so I'm just wondering where that $300K funding is coming from. If it's not coming from the grant, there's an existing citywide signal improvement project included in the current year budget for $100,000, but the funding here for this is $300,000. So just, I guess I'm asking for some clarification on where the funding for the $300,000 of this design effort is coming from. And if it's coming out of the 401, which it says it is, then is that from, where are those funds? Were they generated from projects, completed projects that could possibly have underruns? Or where's that funding coming from? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on Zoom that wishes to speak on this item?
No, Mr. Mayor.
So we'll close public comments. Do you have anything, Director Sethuraman, to say in response to Mr. DeBota?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, it's from the budgeted capital improvement funds.
Okay, fair enough. All right, can I get a motion? Chavez again? Ooh.
There you go.
Ooh. We have a different second. Mayor Pro Tem Harlan is the second. So Chavez is the motion. Mayor Pro Tem barely beat Councilmember Harper. Let's call for the question by voice vote.
Councilmember Harper? Councilmember Mar?
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez?
Yes.
Councilmember Gameros?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harlan?
Yes.
Mayor Stevens?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Wonderful. All right, great job making it through our consent calendar. And by the way, this is great because it's 7:00, and at the exact perfect time to the minute, we're going to our first item, public hearing number 1. Please read the title.
Thank you. This is public hearing on issuance of tax-exempt bonds for Mesa Vista Apartments and resolution approving the issuance of bonds. Presentation by Mr. Robbins, Neighborhood Improvement Manager.
Mr. Robbins, welcome. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, Mr. Mayor, members of council. The item for you tonight is the Motel 6, now known as the Mesa Vista Apartments TEFRA hearing. As always, we'll give you some background on the project itself. Between November of 2021 and November of 2022, the City Council approved awards totaling $5.85 million to Community Development Partners, otherwise known as CDP, to convert the Motel 6, again now known as the Mesa Vista Apartments, into 86 units of permanent housing. This project was broken up into 2 phases. Phase 1 was 40 units of permanent supportive housing for veterans and others experiencing homelessness. This phase has been completed and the units have been leased up. Phase 2, which has not been started, it's been waiting on funding, will produce 46 units of permanent affordable housing for Costa Mesa seniors earning at or below 50% of the area median income. And just to give you an example, a single person at 50% AMI makes at or below $55,250 a year. So barely enough to just get by. So the 46 units of affordable housing are very much needed. In April of 2022, CDP was awarded $10,675,000 in State of California Home Key Program funds to acquire and rehab the project, which again was how Phase 1 was completed. And then just very recently, in August of this year, CDP was awarded $23 million in state tax credits to complete Phase 2, which again is 46 units of senior affordable housing. So in order to release the award of the tax credits, there needs to be what's called the Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act hearing, or TEFRA hearing. This TEFRA hearing provides members of the community an opportunity to comment regarding the use of tax-exempt bonds for the financing of the project. The developer, CDP, has requested that the California Statewide Communities Development Authority, or CSCDA, act as the municipal issuer of tax-exempt multifamily housing revenue bonds of up to $25 million for the project. And then CSCDA is a joint powers authority created by the League of California Cities back in 1988 to allow local government and eligible private entities to access low-cost, tax-exempt financing for housing projects that provide a public benefit. The Council's adoption of the TEFRA resolution tonight satisfies the requirements of TEFRA and the IRS Government Code, thus approving the issuance of the bonds by CDCSA to the developer to complete the project. Staff recommends that the Council conduct a TEFRA hearing as required by Section 147F of the IRS Code of 1986 to receive comments in consideration of the issuance of tax-exempt bond financing by the California Statewide Communities Development Authority for the benefit of Costa Mesa M6LP, to provide financing for the acquisition, construction, improvement, and equipping of an 87-unit multifamily rental housing project, generally known as Mesa Vista Apartments, as well as adopt a resolution approving the issuance of bonds by the CSCDA not to exceed $25 million for the benefit of Costa Mesa M6LP to provide financing for the acquisition, construction, improvement, and equipping of an 87-unit multifamily rental housing project generally known as Mesa Vista Apartments. That concludes my presentation. I can answer any questions that you have.
Council, does anybody have questions of Mr. Robbins? Councilmember Harper?
Hi, Mr. Robbins. I'm your favorite council member, I know. It says 25 million will be issued, and then it says up to 35 million. No, am I confused?
The PowerPoint was printed, and then I noticed the mistake and changed it. So what you have in your hands is
wrong?
Is wrong. Yes,
The
sir.
so
The resolution, the staff report, all say 25 million. I apologize for
the
that.
staff report. This staff report says 35 million, right? Did you guys change this on me?
Yes, yes, there was a correction.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's only, okay, I got the wrong book.
Yeah, so generally what they do is they pad it a little bit, so they are awarded 23. They had originally said up to 35. And
So
they
it's
reduced
25
it.
million.
Yes, sir.
That's good enough. I'm sorry I didn't get the change. Who's responsible for the bond? Who pays the bond? Who's the bond?
So the
I
federal
understand who
gov-
issues it, but who's getting paid? Or who pays so they issue the bonds, I buy
bonds
a
are-
bond, and I'm going to get paid by who?
So the bonds are the tax credits are sold typically to financial institutions who have a much larger tax liability, whereas the developer can't really use the tax credits, so they sell the tax credits to financial institutions who pay the developer, and the developer uses that money to construct the project.
Okay, I'm sure a lot of people out here got that, and I'm not going to quite follow it. So they issue bonds on behalf of the developer, and the developer sells it to financial institutions?
Yes, sir.
Sells that debt. It becomes a debt, right?
They sell the federal government issues tax credits to states. The states award the tax credits to developers. The developers sell the tax credits to financial institutions.
I think you can appreciate why I don't understand that.
So I think, so through the statewide authority for bond issuances, since this project is a tax exempt project because it's being done by a nonprofit, the CSCDA issues the bonds. They then turn around and give the proceeds of the bonds to the developer. It goes into a construction project account, and then it goes into that account for the land acquisition and also the improvements and the construction that's going to be done. So the bonds then are then paid from the rental streams and the income that they get from the project itself. That goes to pay off the bonds along with any tax credits or other financing mechanisms.
Okay, so the source of the refund, the source of the payment for the bonds comes from the
It's a combination. I mean, that's
combination of things. I know this is a very confusing
and
project.
it's part of the collateral for the bonds as well.
So who's responsible for the bond? To pay off the bond, to pay the debtors that bought the bonds? Who's ultimately responsible?
The developer.
The developer?
Yeah.
It's a developer. Okay.
This is not a debt issuance from the city.
I totally understand that.
Right.
So that's my next question is, why are you asking us to approve this? It seems kind of silly, right?
Yes, sir. So back in 1986, when TEFRA was adopted, it's basically a checks and balances so that the state can't issue tax credits without going through a secondary process. So the state awarded the tax credits, and now they require a local governing body where the project is located to hold the hearing so that the public can comment on the issuance of the tax credits. So it's just the checks and balances for
So it's
the
not really,
award.
but if I don't understand it, it's not much of a check. I'm making fun of myself, but I'm probably the most financially astute person up here, maybe other than Lorianne. But we are in no way responsible for the debt.
So it's for
But
two.
yeah, we're going to vote to say it's okay.
So it's for two reasons. So it's to allow for the public process and a hearing in case that there are people in the public that don't like the project. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two is it's also for us as a city to do our due diligence to ensure that the financials are such, the institution that is actually going to benefit from the issuance of the bonds is a nonprofit and that they're eligible for tax exempt bond financing.
So I'm
Because
assuming
only-
staff's done all that.
Yes.
And I have done nothing.
You're
Read
doing
the
a lot.
report. I'm making fun of
Excellent
myself.
questions.
It's
but
okay.
Yes, we went through a pretty extensive due diligence process, a lot of conversations with Mesa Vista and community development partners, looking at their financials, their pro forma, their sources of funding. I did that personally.
Yeah. So I'm trusting her and you get this right. I trust my wife with my checkbook, so I don't know if I trust you guys. So it's kind of odd. It's kind of awkward for me. And I don't think and this is a serious criticism, this project I have never liked. I've never liked the financial amount of it, and I've never liked it as a solution really to put money, taxpayer money, to support those that need housing, because I look at the cost of this and find it ridiculously obscene. I would find a better use of these dollars, and this is like a $50 million project in total, isn't it?
44 million.
44, it's come down. Last it was 50. Okay, last meeting it was 50, it's come down. So 44 million. I look at the income off that to try and subsidize 88 people and houses, and I just think there's better ways to do it. And that's why I've never liked the project. I appreciate all you guys' effort. I know there's a lot of good people involved in this. I just see it as bureaucracy, and I am concerned about, I've read about things, these types of housing in San Francisco and some other cities in Northern California, and it's not gone well for them. The neighborhoods do not like them. What's the recourse for residents in Costa Mesa if they don't like this project?
So the amount of oversight on projects like this is pretty immense. So not only do you have the state monitoring the project, you have the city monitoring the project. There's various entities, the county's involved in this project that's monitoring it as well. So every year the project goes under audits, financial audits, it goes under tenant audits. There's the public can provide feedback to me.
Who do they go to? Who do they go to? If the residents on over in Jeff Harlan's district, they complain, where do they go?
They can contact the city any way that they would like. They can call the city.
What's the city's recourse?
Just getting with the developer and making sure that the on-site property management company is doing what they're supposed to do. There's remedies, checks and balances in the agreement that give the city the opportunity to make comments on
To make
things like
comments,
that.
to give feedback, to shut it down?
Potentially,
To sell
yes.
it?
Yes, sir.
They're really there?
Yes, sir.
And who made sure those were there?
It's part of typical negotiations with affordable housing deals where the city, especially if the city's giving money, has those checks and balances on the back end to be able to audit the project, to come in at any time and monitor the units, to pull the financials, see all the files. We have full access to the project and everything involved in the project.
Also, I would also add that a lot of the times, I'm not sure about the case that you're speaking of, I think you said in Northern California, but a lot of the times the community welcomes having a nice, solid, good-looking housing project as opposed to a motel that may be struggling, may have some other issues related to calls for service that impact our police department, et cetera. That wasn't necessarily the case with this particular site, but it is the case with some motels in some areas, and some of our motels have calls for service and such, and so this is a way to take a business that.
No argument here on that.
Right.
No
So,
argument,
and
no
then-
argument here on that. It's just
Right, so-
it's just a concern for something gets landed, something gets put. It's government, but it's not government run. It's developer run.
Correct.
It's a developer run project.
It's actually nonprofit run. So Mercy House runs that project, who has a long-standing relationship in the city. They do really, really great work.
Yeah.
They manage the day-to-day operations of that project.
today. And
Yes.
I'm always trying to think of the 20 years from now when I'm dead, maybe sooner, hopefully. But, I was trying to think of what's the recourse for residents that hate a project and it's turned sour. What's the recourse? And I just have to hope that you've got something in your agreements that gives the city some leverage to represent their citizens.
Yes, sir. It's in there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, John.
All right. Any more questions? Okay, let's open it up to public comment. Anybody here to speak? All the people that don't like the project? All right. Nobody in the thing? Yes, we have to come on up. And then we'll go to Zoom. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
It's not that I don't hate this project. I am a student of Orange County, here. I'm a community college student. I go to Orange Coast College. My question is, I think it's very important that we do have affordable housing in this city, but I also want to say that the cost of this is very exorbitant. And I don't think that Mercy House project is really a good developer for this because, I've tried to call I've tried to call this place. I've tried to call the Mesa Vista Apartments, and you can't get a hold of anyone. I've emailed, you can't get a hold of literally anyone. And I think that all of this is just like how is this supposed to be run properly? And then it's like $50 million or 44 million, as you said. I think that there's a lot of changes that need to be put in place for this project. Again, I am a community college student, and I think it's very important that in this city we do have affordable housing options, not only for the homeless, but also for our seniors and for the youth as well. I think it's so important that for this specific thing, I do not agree with it because I think it's not run properly, respectfully. Thank you.
I don't see anybody else coming up in the chambers. Anybody on Zoom, Madam
No,
Clerk?
Mr. Mayor.
We'll close public comment. Is there a motion on the item? Can I get a motion? Motion. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Harlan, seconded by Chavez. What is your motion?
Move staff's recommendation.
Okay. And that's the second?
Second agrees.
Do you have anything to say in support of your motion, Mayor Pro Tem?
Sure. Well, unlike my colleague, I have always supported this project. I think the importance of affordable housing cannot be overstated. We've been talking about this for years. Quite frankly, the project is not in my district. It's in Councilmember Marr's district, but it is adjacent to a number of my constituents, none of whom have ever contacted me to complain about it for any problem. So I don't think on its merits there's any issue with the project itself. I think this is necessary to provide the funding. In this particular case, the city has no real involvement. This is just a kind of perfunctory hearing that we need to take. I appreciate the comments that have been offered, but I think staff's recommendation is sound.
Thank you. Anything from the second?
Briefly, I appreciate the public comment. These are very interesting projects. You know, as you can tell, we don't have a financial really say in the project per se. This is all state funded. I think there's more ways to be more efficient, to build more housing efficiently. I agree with that. But on this position, I see a chance to build housing, deed-restricted housing, without much concern from neighbors about the location that I've heard at least. So for me, in that sense, I think we should move forward with that project.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember.
Yeah, if I may, since this isn't in my district, I've actually heard really positive things from the surrounding neighbors who at first had questions about what was being built there. I've met with several of them on site. I've met with several of them during our listening sessions at Vanguard. And in general, the neighbors are excited that this is what's being is going in place of the motel. I will also say that this isn't just housing or even just affordable housing. Specifically, this is permanent supportive housing. And that model is so important to our overall continuum of care as it relates to homelessness. We know that we have people who end up in our homeless shelter because they struggle with the cost of housing and then struggle to exit our homeless shelter because they're in need of additional supportive services. And that exit pathway is probably the biggest hurdle to solving homelessness in Costa Mesa. What happens with people after they've been in the shelter for a couple of months and we're working with them to move on to the next step? There's a bottleneck there that exists across the county. And projects like this are critical, absolutely critical, in order to get people exited from our homeless shelters and into the next step of their lives. And so, yes, it is expensive, but this is not normal housing. This is not comparable to throwing up some cheap apartment units. This is a fundamental part in what we're trying to do. And I will say that's one of the things that I was actually really frustrated with the narrative about homelessness over the last couple of months during the election, that we're spending a lot of money and other people think we're spending too much money, but also think that we should be doing more. This is exactly the kind of thing that we should be supporting as a city because of the impact it has on our overall goal to solve homelessness in Costa Mesa. Thank you.
I have one comment.
Yes, of course.
You know, I don't disagree with trying to help solve a problem, and good intentions don't always create good policy, and it's really what we're delivering and how we're delivering is my difference of opinion. Totally agree with my other council members. Let's try and solve a problem. I think the state of California has spent $63 billion on solving homeless problem, but it's increased and it's gone up, and I don't think this is the solution, and the delivery and the cost to deliver it is just too much. So that's why. But I appreciate your intentions and I admire them, but I just disagree on how we're delivering it.
Respectfully, sir, we hear a lot that we spend too much money, but I don't hear any other solutions.
I don't know how
So,
you
Hold on.
interrupt.
Yeah, let's just talk at the same time. So, are you done, Councilmember Harper?
Yeah, I'm done, and I'm trying to be respectful of your opinions. You're going to vote this way. It's okay. I just felt I needed to state there's another side to this. And I do get a lot of social media that would say we are concerned about, making, no one likes the Motel 6. I think it's interesting in the agenda item, we didn't say it was the Motel 6 conversion. We did in the presentation. The public didn't see this is the Motel 6. They saw Mesa Vista Apartments. I don't know if that was really very transparent on the city's part, but I have seen a lot of comments on social media and a lot of comments from neighbors that don't like this. Yes, people are excited about getting rid of Motel 6. I am too, but again, this is just politely saying I think there's a better solution than this. Thank you.
Councilmember Marr? Do you
I
have
have
anything?
nothing further.
Well, I just think, it's going back to what I talked about earlier about how we're just stewards here and we have projects that are long-term projects. I think this is a really good example of it. What's the length of time? Is it 55 years?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
55
so
years.
it's 55 years. So we got 87 people who are going to be in this place for at least the next 55 years in permanent supportive housing. And I think that what's lost on some people when they talk about this project is the length of time and the amortization of the construction cost over time and how it's going to benefit people. Another thing that's lost is, we just had Veterans Day this month. This is, we just celebrated Veterans Day, and this is housing that is specifically designated for veterans. Now, my father was in World War II, and when the troops came back from World War II, we talk about how much we love the troops, but then when we want to provide housing for them, somebody says it's too expensive. Well, back in World War II, when those soldiers came back to the United States after they were in the theater of war in Europe or in the Pacific, we spared no expense as a country. We gave them the GI Bill. They went to college. We paid for their college. We gave them, you talk about expense, we gave them interest-free loans. A lot of them bought their property for no money down. And the United States of America spared no expense for those veterans. We're a long way from World War II, but we shouldn't be complaining about providing housing for veterans and the cost of that in the United States of America in 2024. Let's call for the question.
Councilmember Marr?
Yes.
Councilmember Gameros?
Yes.
Councilmember Harper? Councilmember Chavez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harlan?
Yes.
Mayor Stevens?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-1 with Councilmember Harper voting no.
Okay, we're moving on. We have another public hearing item. Public hearing item number 2. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title?
Public hearing regarding the Development Impact Fees Annual Report and the Traffic Impact Fee Analysis for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024. Presentation by Ms. Molina, Finance Director, and Mr. Sethuraman, Public Works Director.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Before you tonight is the required presentation of the annual Development Impact Fee Analysis and Traffic Impact Fee Analysis. We will be presenting the Development Impact Fees Annual Report as required by state code and the Traffic Impact Fee Analysis Overview. As mentioned, the state code requires that local agencies must present the DIF, or the Development Impact Fees Annual Report, within 180 days of the close of the fiscal year. The annual report must provide an overview of the fees, amount received, and identify expenses of those funds received. And finally, the report must hold a regular meeting no less than 15 days from release. The diff was noticed on November 4th, therefore fulfilling this requirement. The city has 5 different development impact fees. The park development impact fee, which developer pays to provide for additional or improved park recreational improvements. The drainage impact fee, which developers fees that provide funding for additional construction and maintenance of our drainage system. The traffic impact fees provides funding for additional or improved traffic signals, operations, and infrastructure. Our fire system development fees provides for additional fire protection facilities, equipment, and paramedic support. And our cannabis traffic impact fees provides funding for additional or improved traffic signal operations and infrastructure improvements. For fiscal year 23-24, which ended on June 30th, the park development fees had a beginning fund balance of $2.9 million, received about $254,000 during the year, expensed about $787,000 for an ending fund balance of $2.4. Our drainage fees had a prior beginning fund balance of $2.2 million, received about $176,000, expended $183,000 for a ending fund balance of about $2.2 million. Our traffic impact had a beginning balance of $5.8 million, received $247,000, and expensed $1.5 million for a $4.6 million fund balance. Our fire system development fees had a beginning fund balance of about $640,000, received about $15,000 for an ending fund balance of $654,000. Our cannabis traffic impact fees had a beginning balance of about $435,000, received $112,000. Nothing has been spent for a little bit over $500,000. Again, these are ending in June 30th, 2024, and they are preliminary unaudited results as the city is currently undergoing the audit. For the traffic impact fee annual report, I will turn it over to Director Sedaraman.
Thank you, Ms. Molina. Mr. Mayor and council members, on the traffic impact fee, so we met with the ad hoc committee on October 29th of this year. So we had a pretty good discussion on the history of the fees, talked about the current projects that are ongoing and the future projects that are coming on the line, and also went through the traffic impact fee analysis that's in part of your attachment. So the traffic impact fees we determined could range from $176 to $476, depending on the projects that you include in the list in the calculation. However, based on our recently completed projects, we estimated that the fee can be at $228 per average daily trip. Our current fees are $235, so this is a reduction of about $7 from that, because we finished some of the projects. So that's why the fee came down. The next sheet, you'll see there's a traffic impact fee fund balance. As Ms. Molina mentioned, we currently carry a balance of $4.9 million. We already have several projects that are using this as part of a city-approved budget. So most of these are already accounted for in future projects and ongoing projects too. With that, the committee recommended that we adopt a fee of $228. Again, there was discussion on the fee, quite a bit of discussion, whether it should remain $235 or $228. There are a couple of considerations. One is that the revised calculation showed a reduction. And also, the city will be embarking on a fee program at some point in the future, not too distant future, because we have the housing element that needs to be updated to reflect the additional housing, and that will change maybe the number of improvements, the type of improvements needed, and the number of trips that are associated with new development that are going to come into the city. So, and we're also going to embark on revising our trip fee methodology too, that's going to come to Planning Commission in early 2025. Given all this, they recommended that we take advantage of the reduction in the calculation of 228. They recommended to continue the allocation of 10% of the fee towards traffic signal synchronization projects. That's as before. And also that traffic impact fees can be used for all the ATP projects. And we continue the reduction of 5% in automobile trips because of the ATP implementation. And additional 5% for those projects that implement active transportation improvements that are over and above our current program. So that concludes our presentation. So if there are any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you to both of you. Yeah, you're getting a smattering of applause. That was pretty good. We don't see that a lot for staff reports. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Harlan.
I always applaud staff reports. Can we pull up the table from the presentation, the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance? So more for the public's understanding, my question, Director Seth Rahman, is at what point does the city collect these fees? So let's just start with the Quimby fees, the park development fees.
So for the traffic impact fees, the fees are collected at the time of certificate of occupancy.
Okay.
For other fees, they're usually collected at building permits stage. Yeah.
Okay, so pretty much the end of a process, so moving backwards, we would collect the fees. Prior to that, there would be construction of the project, there would be construction drawings prepared, and then even prior to that would be entitlements and approvals. And in my experience, that lag time can be anywhere from 5 to 7 years. Does that sound about right?
Mayor Pro Tem, it depends on the project. Some projects do take a long time for that. I mean, right. So usually developers work out the payment program depending on the type of project. Sometimes they pay in phases, sometimes they pay in upfront. So.
I saw Director Tai give me some quizzical look. Yeah, in Costa Mesa, things take a very long time to develop. And that's why in one of the attachments, I think it was tab 1, for example, under Quimby fees, in 2019, we collected, let's say, roughly $2.3 million. That's for a project that probably would have started in 2015 as far as improved entitlement. My point is simply that there's a long lag time. And so when we look at these numbers, what we see today is really what was based on a project that started long ago. And unfortunately, what I see is a trend going very much in the wrong direction, or at least it's not providing a consistent and healthy fee collection for us. So I'm just bringing that as a kind of a point as we consider all of this, especially as relates to a reduction in a proposed fee. That's all.
My only question that I have is, we have a column for traffic impact fees, and then we have a column for cannabis traffic impact fees. What's the distinction between traffic impact fees and cannabis traffic impact fees?
When cannabis developments, those fees are tracked separately for use. That's part of your approval of the cannabis permits, is that the fee should be tracked separately and they should be used for active transportation improvements in the vicinity of the cannabis development. So we track it by the location, so we know exactly who paid the fees and where they paid it.
Is that something that was included in Measure Q?
No, it was not part of Measure Q, but it was an action that the City Council took. So cannabis traffic impact fees were set to the cannabis industry and are to be spent in the area that those fees were received.
Okay. Okay. But the cannabis, in terms of how much they owe, are cannabis businesses treated like every other business?
Yeah, in terms of the fee value, yeah, it's same, right. 235 per ADT, what you used to be. Now it's going to be 228 based on your approval.
Yeah, and the amount of the fees and whether or not they're going to be charged fees based on the extent to which they impact traffic, that's all the same.
That's all the
So
same.
it's just tracking is all it is. Got it. Okay, good. Thank you. Anything else? All right, let's open it up for public comment. Okay. Seeing nothing, next go to the Zoom.
None, Mr. Mayor.
All right, close public comment. We're ready for a motion. All right, Councilmember Chavez, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is routine, and thank you, staff, for presenting it to us. I think Pro Tem Harlan made a good point about kind of the effects of stagnation, essentially. A lot of these fees we collect money from fees through development, through growth in Costa Mesa. Growth doesn't have to mean drastic change. It could really mean a old house, it could mean a new house. But the fear I have is the longer we don't see rezoning that we're allowed to do, the longer we don't see development, the more down the line we hurt our community. So staff, thank you for this presentation and for the numbers. But that's my fear as a 29-year-old, that if we don't change something, my kids, the current kids in the audience, may have less services to fix their parks, to fix their drainage systems, and to fix issues with streets.
Okay, Councilmember Harper, you were the second. Do you wish to say anything?
No comments.
Okay, good. Mayor Pro Tem Harlan?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Councilmember Chavez mentioned. We very much enjoy the services that the city provides for our community, and we're happy to do so. And that's not just police and fire. We're talking about park improvements, roadway improvements, active transportation. All of that costs money, and we rely on development fees for a good portion of that money in addition to grants. So when we don't have a consistent and healthy stream of development happening, that is jeopardized. So as we know, our public has certain demands and expectations. We want to meet those, but that's going to require us to have more projects in the pipeline, providing the housing that we actually desperately need in this community. So I support this motion.
So do I. My only thing I want to add is I think I would be remiss if I didn't thank, and I wish I knew them by name. If you do, please let me know. The members of the ad hoc committee. It seems really simple. It seems really routine, but I used to be the liaison to that group, and they go over all of these projects every year. A lot of them are people that have been on the committee for a number of years. They have a high level of expertise, and I have full confidence in their recommendation. Okay? All right, with that, let's call the voice vote.
Councilmember Chavez?
Yes.
Councilmember Mar?
Yes.
Councilmember Gameros?
Yes.
Councilmember Harper? Mayor Pro Tem Harlan?
Yes.
Mayor Stevens?
Yes?
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, so next we're going to go to the Bs, but before we do that, this is a good time to take a break. We're done with our public hearings. We've got like 4 more items, but let's take a break now. And let's come back at, let's come back a little before 8 o'clock, like 7:55. We're going back on the record. We are back on the record, and we're ready for old business item number 1. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title?
Thank you. This is introduction and first reading of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Costa Mesa, California, amending Title III Animal Regulations of the Costa Mesa Municipal Code by amending Chapter 1 and Chapter 6 to provide for beekeeping and to clarify appeal procedures for special animal permits. Presentation by Lieutenant Zielinski.
Lieutenant, hold on one second. So are we good to go on the monitors facing the, because that monitor wasn't working facing the council. Can everybody see the PowerPoint? You guys are good? Okay, please proceed.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor and council members, for having me back. Coming back from October 1st, I've learned a lot more about bees and beekeeping. And I'm happy to present tonight what I hope is a great collaboration from the comments from council from the last meeting, as well as my superiors and also, most importantly, members of the community that I had reached out with and worked with. So without further ado. The history of our beekeeping ordinance here in the city of Costa Mesa, for those that don't know currently, there is no beekeeping allowed in our city. So the ad hoc committee with animal services was created back in 2023, and back then there was a desire for residential beekeeping. Earlier this year, the community wanted to revisit beekeeping within the city, and with that in mind, our animal services committee created a beekeeping ordinance that would be presented to council and hopefully fill the needs of the community so that they could keep bees in the city. The intent of this beekeeping ordinance is to authorize residential beekeeping subject to certain requirements intended to avoid problems that may otherwise be associated with beekeeping in populated areas. In this ordinance, it would require a permit, which would have a written notification to abutting neighbors by city staff. Neighbors would have 30 days to respond, and there would be special consideration for neighbors with severe allergy to sting of bees. The changes that we made from when we presented October 1st was there would be no fee or renewal fee for the permit. There would be no signage required for your outside fencing, and there'd be no required training. We also put in a 90-day grandfathering period so that anyone that currently has beekeeping would have time to get up to the current ordinance. Our staff would evaluate the permit to ensure safety and free use of all neighboring properties. The property and hive requirements, the beehives may only be placed on residential properties that allow for adequate spacing from neighboring residences so as to not interfere with the free use of neighboring property. Beehive locations shall be secured from unauthorized access and not visible from the public right-of-way. Beehives should be located at least 15 feet from any property line and 25 feet from neighboring residential buildings. Beehives that are unable to meet the above distance requirements require a 6-foot solid barrier, fence, wall, or dense vegetation be installed to direct bee flight paths upwards and away from neighboring properties. A maximum of 2 beehives will be placed on a single residential property. All bees shall be kept in hive boxes with frames that can be removed for inspection, and equipment shall be kept in sound and usable condition. And we added a water source for bees shall be provided at all times on the property where bees are kept to discourage bee visitation at swimming pools, hose bibs, or other water sources on adjacent properties. Any resident considering taking up beekeeping should first educate themselves on the basic principles and guidelines. A basic understanding of honeybee biology, foraging habits, and hive management is essential. And then there's resources available. This would be the permit application. Attached to that is a site plan, so it's pretty basic. It would be available online and be submitted to our staff that would review it and then send out the notices to abutting properties to make sure that your neighbors are aware of the permit. And then, as you can see there, that's the site plan that would go with it so that we could see where the bees are going to be placed, or the beehives would be placed. This also takes into account our last meeting I was at, Councilmember Mara had addressed that I had labeled it a backyard beekeeping permit. And taking that into account, we did take out the backyard part, realizing that a lot of homes in Costa Mesa have side yards, great front yards, they're fenced. And so I appreciated that insight and going back and working this beekeeping ordinance, taking all those comments into account. So we did allow for front yard beekeeping if your yard fits those requirements. The recommendation, staff recommends that the City Council introduce for first reading the attached ordinance. And with that, I just want to make sure to add that this was a collaboration that we also included with code enforcement and other city agencies to hopefully get the terminology right and the spacing right for this ordinance. Taking into account several of the community, we had some emails and conversations going back and forth. I hope that I've been able to address and include their concerns into this ordinance so that it fits most of the needs of our community. And with that, if there's any questions, I'll take those now.
Council, any questions? Councilmember Chavez?
Thank you, Mayor Stevens. I have 4 questions. I'll try to be quick and efficient. First of all, I want to say just thank you, everyone, for getting us this position. Thank you, council, last time for doing a pretty broad ordinance that we can now kind of tinker with, and thank you, staff, for getting educated and re-educated on this issue. So I just want to go over 4 quick things. So first one is cost recovery. I know we have no fee and no renewal fee. I'm actually kind of fine with no renewal fee, but I'm just curious, is there any other like fee for animals that doesn't require any fee at all? I know dogs and cats have to be like pay a small fee.
Well, the dogs are licensed, so there's a fee for that. And then we do have our chicken permit fee.
Okay.
That's a very low fee, and that was $15. That still is $15.
Okay. Is it okay if I inquire about I'm just curious the rationale with the low fee. So obviously that doesn't we don't recoup our costs with $15, right?
Right.
So is that just like a symbolic thing for folks to pay?
That was created so many years ago, and I do believe we tried to, in the first reading, redo that fee to $150 and match the fees with what was first introduced with this reading. In doing the B ordinance, we've decided with recommendations to not have a fee. So we did not retouch the chicken permit fee to include with the bees. We're keeping those separate.
Got it,
So
okay.
no bees and chickens are mixing together.
No mixing of species. Got it. Okay. Just curious about the fee.
Let me go ahead and address a little bit about the fee, Councilmember Chavez. So since we are a government, we are not allowed to make a profit. So all the fees that we do have to be essentially analyzed to ensure that we're recovering at least some or all of our costs or administrative overview. So the $15 or the $150 would have gone under a cost recovery fee analysis to ensure that we either partially have offset the expenses related to that process.
Okay. So not wanting to delay the B ordinance, if we were to add a fee, like $15, for example, would we be causing you to have to analyze that fee? Or
We have already actually analyzed that fee. We could bring back a resolution. We could also bring it back during the budget process where we do look at all of our fees at that time. So we have multiple opportunities to review that.
Okay, thank you. Question number 2, this is more for a city attorney. So we don't have any required training. Does not having required training for a beekeeping ordinance put us in any liability as a city?
Now, the city is immune from liability for issuing permits. If we became aware of a particular beekeeper who was operating dangerously and failed to, if we were aware of it and had the ability to do something, or we were specifically on site, that type of thing, we could potentially have some liability, but generally speaking, failure to require training or in issuing permits and so on does not create liability for the city.
Okay, thank you. That's actually really reassuring to hear. And then for staff, is there any other animal permit or fee that requires training? Like, do we require training for chickens or for dogs or cats? It's okay, you can laugh, it's all good.
No, we do not.
Okay.
I will, we do have the best management practices, and that was included, and that will be uploaded on the website. So that comes from recommendations from one of the city community members that we have reached out to, that also created the best management practices for the city of Fullerton and the city of Irvine. And in that, it does have a lot of references and some great policy, or some great practices that some people could follow that are learning how to become first-time beekeepers.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And actually, thank you for mentioning the best practices. My next question is actually about that. So I'm recently learning that there's different types of bees. There's native and like non-native. Are we perhaps encouraging folks to use native bees in the best practices?
Well, you and me both, Councilmember Chavez, are learning that there are many types of bees. We are recommending in this ordinance the honeybee. And those other bees, I'm not really sure how to answer that question, or where they come into play. And I don't know if you're referring to the email that came in, or if we're going to address that.
Yes, that's what I'm referring
okay,
to.
so I did read that. And with my limited knowledge, obviously these were the experts, and I just got this yesterday, so we didn't have a chance to reach out and inquire how that plays an impact on our community. With I think this email referenced 4 types of bees. If you have a further question on that, I'm not exactly sure how to answer that question.
Yeah, no worries, and I appreciate the honesty. We're all learning here. The last question I had, again, was off that email we received from CCA, and I was just curious if we thought about a buffer from like our nature parks. I'm thinking primarily of like Fairview Park and Randall Preserve, but also probably a Back Bay. Like, have we thought about a buffer zone perhaps for the beekeeping ordinance?
No, I did not. And primarily, again, like just reading this was new information. In rewriting this from October 1st, my direction was primarily to be as open as we could, so as many community members could enjoy this hobby or this practice if that's what they wanted to do. My fear would be we'd be restricting so many community members with the parks in our city. We have so many vast parks, and this is such a big area that I feel that instead of being inclusive to many community members, we might be eliminating a lot of people that are interested in bringing this ordinance forward.
Yeah, I'm open to considering a buffer, maybe not to the extent the letter mentioned, but I appreciate the honesty and I appreciate you answering my questions. And when audience members speak, I'm curious to see you guys chime in on those issue points. But thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Harper.
Thank you. Thanks for working with the public on this. This has been really a great process, and you've done a great job of working with people, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
And staying humble. How many beehives do you think we'll end up with in the city? Maybe 10 or 15? I think I remember that.
That's what we're estimating based on what Fullerton has, 14. I'm hoping we've done such an exceptional job that we get hundreds.
So yeah. So unless it's a per bee fee, $15 isn't going to amount much.
Right.
And that leads to my next question. It's an important one. Is it $15 per chicken? Or do I get 3 chicken? What is it? I got to know.
It's not $15 per chicken.
It's not.
Per min.
What about your cat? It's $50 per cat, right?
Oh,
Well, we need to get on that. Bring that up. Bring that up in 20. I want you to make that agenda item in 2025. I won't be here,
Let
you
my
guys,
boss know.
you guys deal with it. Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilmember Marr, do you have any questions? No? Okay.
I do not, no.
Thank you. Let's open it up for public comment. Okay. Anybody? Good. From inside the council chambers. Yes.
I have a timer, right? Oh. Hello, everybody. Thanks for letting me come here. My name is Paul Wagoner. I'm with Coastal Corridor Alliance, the organization that drafted the email sent out yesterday. Sorry for the late notice on that. We just became aware of the planned ordinance. We are very supportive of responsible human agriculture and want to make sure that it's done in a way that is compatible with the natural world around us. And so it's important to us that a key distinction is made between a domestic animal and a wild animal and the impacts that a domestic animal might have on wild species. And in this case, honeybees are well documented to be territorial against native bees, in particular the 4 local honeybees that we have and others. There are 1,600 native bees in the state of California, and they are in decline. And one of the main reasons for their decline is agriculture and pesticide use. But the agriculture is bolstered by the honeybee, and the honeybee also will spread and start feral hives in wild places and essentially kick native pollinators off of their native plants that they need. Honeybees will also pollinate other invasive plant species like mustard and fennel, which grow quickly and spread, and also limit the spread and existence of native plants and native pollinators. So in our letter, we suggest a 1-mile buffer from any native open space, native habitat open space. So that would include Fairview Park, Talbot Regional Park, Randall Preserve, and the Back Bay. I was very surprised to see the CEQA exemption in the ordinance, that there would be no possibility that it would have significant negative effect on the environment. And so we would ask that you return and go get some ecological counsel from Xerxes Society, Native Plant Society, the Nature Conservancy, and the like, to get some consultation on what the impact on the environment might be. We also hope that native bee education would be a part of what we send out to the public. So the best practices document, the ordinance, the application would make a clear distinction between native bees and honeybees. Instead of calling it bees for short, maybe always refer to it as domestic honeybees. Yes, we just hope that we can find a way to do what we want as humans and protect the natural world. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm in complete agreement with CCA that Costa Mesa's beekeeping ordinance should not be allowed to damage our native bee population. Restrictions to create a buffer zone to keep managed honeybees away from Fairview Park, Canyon Park, and Talbot Park is good biodiversity policy. It's in keeping with the federal and state 30 by 30 biodiversity plans that mandate 30% of land and water by 2030, saving that land. However, allowing managed honeybees in Costa Mesa is necessary because so many of us have gardens packed with fruit trees, fruits, vegetables, and flowers, both native and cultivars. So no matter what we do, we will have bees taking up residence. And many of you know, honeybees have been living in a trash can in my atrium for 10 years. I leave them alone, and they've never had a reason to leave. Along with them are the monarchs that fill my gardens in summers due to expansive amounts of milkweed. And the more native plants I put in, the more bumblebees and other native pollinators come to live. So far, everyone is sharing the garden without incident, but other folks may not have this situation. And I would hate for honeybees, which are not native to this country, to displace the native bee populations we're so lucky to have in these 3 parks and in the Randall Preserve. I'm a rank novice and with limited knowledge, but Coastal Corridor Alliance has a deep bench of scientists and experts who have taken it upon themselves to protect, restore, and preserve the area from Fairview Park down to the sea. They provide exactly the kind of information and recommendations that will protect what we have, restore what we must, and regain the biodiversity that once was common in this part of California. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and council members, for letting us speak here. My name is Sandy Tobacco. I'm a beekeeper and member of the Beekeepers Association of Southern California. And I read the coastal corridor information, and I love native bees as well. We do try and teach about that every month. We take a different bee and highlight them at our club. But I wanted to let everybody know that the honeybees do not push off the other bees from the forage, whether it's for pollen or nectar. They're very gentle, they share, and in fact, they don't feed on a lot of the same ones because the native bees have a shorter tongue, or proboscis, and they have to go with very flat flowers, and the honeybees have a long tongue, and they go into more tunnel-shaped and trumpet-shaped flowers. So they don't really compete. The honeybees are very vital as far as pollinating the food sources that we use, as well as making our gardens beautiful. And as far as pollinating just native plants, in one of the publications that the Coastal Corridor suggested we look at on their email, shows a picture of the crotch bumblebee enjoying mustard, which is one of their favorites, and that's a non-native plant. So they don't just feed on native plants. Bumblebees and native bees feed on whatever their tongue can fit into that's attractive to them. And so I just wanted to clarify that. A few things that I read about in the publication here from the Coastal Corridor is that honeybees will go up to 6 miles to go forage. That's true because that is their round trip maximum. They can only forage out 2.5 to 3 miles from their hive and then come back. So 6 miles is their maximum round trip. So that is an error. And also the if there are beehives in these parks, then by having beekeepers in the city, that gives the city a good chance to have those removed so that it's not a public nuisance, it's not a threat to native bees or anybody. And I have a question too for the Coastal Corridor. Since you are so concerned for the native bee population, do you have a management system with all these parks about their pesticide and insecticide use to see what they do, or their landscaping and maintenance? Because most of the crotch bumblebee, which is on this endangered list, they're underground dwellers. And so if you have lawnmowers and edgers going right over them or footpaths going over them, I just wanted to know if you are doing management steps with these parks and areas that you want to help protect to make sure that they really are protected, those native bees that are living there. So anyway, we are all for all creatures and all bees.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Felix Grun. I'm a biologist, research biologist at the University of California, Irvine. I run the mass spec facility there. I'm also a budding beekeeper enthusiast. Have an interest in researching bee behavior and bee biology. I'm also joined here today by my son, Anton, who's at Costa Mesa High School, and this year did a science fair project on the bees in Orange County. Specifically, his title of a project was 16NB, where he collected over 350 bees from managed hives and feral hives and free foraging bees across the whole of Orange County and genetically tested them to see what particular strains of bees these were. We were particularly interested in looking at the percentage of African hybrid bees that are now in Southern California. You may know they came initially, were released in Brazil in 1956 and have spread north throughout the middle Americas and Mexico and the southern US since then. They've been in Southern California for 20 years and have displaced the natural European honeybees that are out in the wild. Honeybees in California were first established in 1853 in the San Jose area and have naturally spread throughout the whole of the southern US. Okay, there are feral hives all over the US of European honeybees that have competed and have reached a stable population with natural pollinators. The hybrid bees have come and displaced them. Anton's research has now shown that 80% of all the natural feral hives here have African DNA in them, okay? So feral hives and African and European honeybees are in California. They're everywhere. The bee removal services remove probably thousands of these beehives from Orange County every year, and they're not going to be displaced by 15 hives in Costa Mesa of managed bees. It's a very small percentage of managed, controlled European stock that we're introducing. They're not going to compete and displace with natural foragers. If you want to protect and encourage natural pollinators, the best thing is to plant the proper type of natural vegetation that these bumblebees and other bees can forage on, and to reduce backyard pesticide use on fruit trees, neonicotinoid pesticides and the like, and those are the real things that damage the bees. Okay? So from a biology point of view, the small amount of bees that we're talking about here that are managed are a benefit in terms of engaging the public in education about pollination and about issues like that, producing valuable food crops like honey, like beeswax, helping pollinate fruit trees.
Thank you. Anybody else that wants to speak in the chambers? Yes, ma'am. Anybody else who wants to speak, come on up. You don't have to wait till...
Good evening. Thank you again for considering the ordinance. I wanted to thank Lieutenant Zielinski for redoing the ordinance and listening to us beekeepers here in Orange County. And also, I'm a Costa Mesa resident and I'm a beekeeper. And although the ordinance probably is never going to make everyone happy, I support it. And I think that is something that us beekeepers are willing to work with so that we don't have to go underground, and that we can also support our environment in Costa Mesa. And it's not just for today that we need the pollinators and the honeybees, but for future generations. We know we have a lot of urban gardens in the area. I have 7 fruit trees on my property, and I'm sure other places in Costa Mesa have many more. So I do support the ordinance, and I hope that you guys will support it and improve it too. As the Coastal Alliance, I mean, some things in there just don't make sense. I mean, a 1-mile buffer. We have 26 parks in Costa Mesa, and that would mean that there would be not one beehive legal in Costa Mesa. And they might say that it's for Fairview and banning, but as a resident, I fear that. I mean, once you say parks, parks are parks. And like I said, we have at least 26 in our city. You know, to say that we can, you know, not have honeybees and we can leave pollination to monarchs and native bees, that's not factual. I mean, butterflies are not going to pollinate my avocado tree, my orange tree, my lemon tree, and all those trees and gardens in Costa Mesa that are so important to our city. And a couple other things, I mean, we say that they are not native to us. Well, none of us are native to America, but bees have been around for 400 years. And California is one of the largest producers of almonds, and we take migratory bees to the almond field to pollinate the almonds. And so a lot of people in Costa Mesa or other beekeepers in Orange County, they nurture bees all year long, so they can take them to pollination. Again, we would be restricting that. Do we want to, you know, restrict that? So anyway, I just want to say again that I salute Costa Mesa for dealing with the bee ordinance. It will actually be 3 years in January, and I hope that I look to you to support it and approve it because I think that it's very important to our community, and I think beekeepers want to do the right thing and not really go underground. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Sean Crowley, and I'm a professional beekeeper. I was working with Lieutenant Zielinski to redraft this ordinance, and I think she's done a phenomenal job. The one item that I would suggest is in conflict between your beekeeping practices and this ordinance is limiting the number of beehives to 2. The reason being is that as a beekeeper, when we try and manage hives, they'll grow during the spring when there's a lot of blooming flowers and such, to a point at which you need to split them. Well, by limiting it to 2, if you have 2 hives, you can't split them, which is a common beekeeping practice. And then during the fall, about this time, we'll take and combine them back together. Because they shrink in size as the amount of forage is reduced. So by having the limit of 2 hives versus just a manageable number of bees for the space that's available, there are some locations, maybe only 1 hive should be allowed. In others, you might be able to have 4 or 5. And then having the size of the hive will make a difference. You can have a little 5-frame nucleus colony, which would be considered a hive, and then I can have a 6-story high beehive, which will have many, many thousands more bees than you would have in a couple 5-frame nukes. So I would consider possibly getting rid of the 2 hive maximum and put it as a reasonable amount of bees for the space that's provided. As far as the native bees, yes, I'm in favor of trying to help native bees as well. However, the European / hybrid of Africanized European mix bees are everywhere. I work with bee removal companies who are removing hundreds of thousands of beehives a year from people's attics, walls, meter boxes, valve boxes, and so forth. To say that the 14 or 15 beehives that you would have with this beekeeping permit would greatly influence the native pollinators is just not reasonable. So anyway, I thank you again for all your hard work, and I look forward to getting this approved.
Thank you.
Am I allowed to go again or no?
Nope. One shot. You got one shot. You got to make it, just like Eminem says, right? So who's...
None, Mr. Mayor.
No, let's close public comment. Do we have a motion? Motion again by Councilmember Chavez. What's your motion, sir?
Yeah, so let me take a crack at it and see if I get a second. So after hearing all the comments and getting all my questions answered, I want to move forward with staff recommendation with 2 changes. One, if in the best practices, we could mention native bees in some capacity. And then I'm interested in exploring a 500-foot buffer from only 4 parks in particular, only 4 parks. Fairview Park, Talbot Park, Randall Preserve, and Newport Back Bay, only because those serve as our green belts.
Second.
Do we have a second by Gamaros on that? Second by Gamaros?
Also by Marr.
Councilmember Marr? Oh, she seconded it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's have, for the record, let's make that Councilmember Marr seconded it, okay? It's okay with that, Councilmember Gamaros? Okay, good.
Yeah,
so yes, sir.
I'll speak to the motion briefly. I think for me, I think I like the spirit of the motion in that it was very open-ended and allowed us to like kind of ask questions and see what restrictions we want to put onto the ordinance. I am mindful of the fact that we do want to be preserving our like green belt. I'm just gonna call it that. Fairview, Talbot, Randall Preserve is all one green belt that hugs the Sand River. There's a lot of work going on in restoration in Fairview Park. There'll be a lot of work going on in the preserve in a few years. And I just want to have some kind of buffer Not a big one, just a small one, to kind of see if that helps with that process. You know, we can always review things down the line. I don't want to be too strict or too permissive, and I thought this was kind of a fair balance. I was on my phone trying to get the little like map to see how much that would impact people, and I felt that was an appropriate way to balance both concerns. And that was kind of my reasoning.
Councilmember, you asked some really good questions about the financial aspects of it and the fees. What do you think about this? What if we were to, as part of your motion, direct staff to look further into the fee issue and cost recovery and bring it back with our budget? Is that something you would?
Yes, open to that.
Okay. All right. Can we make that part of the motion?
Yes, I'll add it to the motion.
Councilmember Mar, are you okay with that?
So are you suggesting bringing it back for another first reading, or are you bifurcating?
No, just bifurcating, just saying for next budget cycle, as part of our review of the fees, just look into this as well. It's some period of time.
Second concurs.
Yes, Director Molina.
Just to follow up, because the fees get set by a resolution, technically, you can, at the second reading, we can bring back the resolution at that time without impacting the ordinance. So we could do that as well, without having to wait for the budget.
Would you have time? You have sufficient time
Yes, we would
within
have
which to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
If I may, then the motion should include adding a provision to the ordinance that the fees for the permit will be as set by resolution of the council.
Okay.
I will add that to the motion then.
Second
concurs.
Second concurs. Okay, good stuff. Yes, of course. Councilmember Gameros.
So we're going to add.
Hold on one second. Are you done supporting your motion? Councilmember Mar, did you have anything to say in support of the motion before we get to Gameros?
I just wanted to say thank you so much to Lieutenant Zielinski for all of the work that she's done over the last month and a half. I know that's been a lot of diligence and discussion, but I think it was worth it. And it's always good to hear members of the public complimenting our staff on how much they felt listened to and how much we incorporated their suggestions. So thank you for that.
Councilman Gameros. You're good? Are you sure? Okay.
I just had one question.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Councilmember Harper.
Are we concerned about the, I'm looking at a maximum of 2 beehives? Is that going to restrict? If I get a little beehive and I've got 2, and I got a big beehive and I got 1, should our language be different in defining that so we've got some judgment out there? It's a reasonable beehive for the space that's given, something versus number of boxes. I'm just listening to the guy talk about the number of boxes. Is that a concern?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'll ask you. You're the expert now, so thank you.
I knew this question would come up.
Okay.
So, in speaking with Mr. Crowley and his concerns, I was given direction to put in 2 beehives, but I would be open to a more expert opinion. So if he felt that 5, I don't know how to word it so that it's not so open-ended that someone could have 50. But if there was a suggestion to accommodate what Mr. Crowley mentioned, I would be open to that.
Could we say 2 beehives, or as approved by whoever the authority in this process, you? Could we do that? Is that acceptable? I'm just trying to.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing your concern. I'm wondering if maybe there's a way to describe it as like, if you need to temporarily make 1 hive 2, because I think that was a concern raised, that like during certain seasons, you separate the hive temporarily and then bring them back together, right?
I mean, the other way to do it is you have language that says that we're recommending 2 hives, 2 boxes only, unless the space allows for more than 2 hives. It gives you some discretion to go, hey, it's not working, and you have to go back to 2 hives. I'm not an attorney.
Me either.
Yeah.
Well, I am. Go
ahead, John.
Why don't I?
We're waiting.
Why don't I make a suggestion?
There you go.
So, why don't we say, and with maybe the city attorney can help with, say, 2 hives, or a reasonable amount of additional, what did we say, hives? If the if the space is adequate, and just something, I mean, you can work out the language, but put in some rule of reasonableness and to give the PD an opportunity to exercise their judgment.
Right. So we're going to add a provision that allows for potentially additional hives based upon reasonable availability of space in the discretion of the chief of police.
I'm cool with that.
Can I make a quick?
Of course, yeah. Councilmember Gameros?
So, and I don't know if this is allowed, so I'm going to kind of ask you, since none of us up here are resident experts on bees, we have someone in the back who would like to say something, and he's an expert. So maybe we can hear what he has to say if it's something that could help this out. Because
Public comment is closed, but in your discretion, you can certainly ask a question of someone who's an identified expert.
Yeah, let's do it. What's that? So I tell you what, well, let's do it this way. If you guys want to open public comment, you want to make a motion to?
I'd like to make a motion to open public comment, please.
Anybody wants to make a second?
I'll second it.
All right, let's vote on it by voice vote.
All right. Councilmember Chavez?
Yes.
Councilmember Gameros?
Yes.
Councilmember Harper?
Yes.
Councilmember Marr?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harlan?
Yes.
Mayor Stevens?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, so we're going to open up public comment. You can have another 3 minutes, and then because it's open, anybody else can speak for another 3 minutes. So if you want to go up there and speak. So we have opened public comment. We got more other people coming. So motions and actions have consequences. Yes, sir, you got 3 minutes.
So the issue about the number of hives, I would suggest might be a good wording here is to say 2 production hives, production for honey. Those are the main hives that are being used. During the springtime, as you've heard, hives often expand in number and they're prone to swarm. Beekeepers want to prevent the swarming, so we need some expansion space to temporarily house that excess so that we can suppress the swarming instinct of the bees. So if you have 2 production hives, but you allow for some temporary expansion to control swarming, that could be something that you might be able to word into an ordinance to get around this issue of having to specify the total or increase the total number of hives here. I think so. That's something that I think would be reasonable, and I'm hoping the beekeepers would probably you think 4, 2 and 4? So these bees expand like crazy in the spring, right? You can go from a couple of thousand bees. The queen is laying 1,000 eggs a day, right? So you can go with the pollen and the nectar flow within a month or 2. They're going to expand like crazy, and they're prone to swarm, and we have to control that. Okay, so 2 production hives and some expansion, 4 temporary expansion. These could be small nuclear hives just to control that. So wording of that kind of language, I think, would be good, a good compromise. I'll yield the floor.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I'd like to just kind of respond to some of the things I was hearing, and actually hearing that the ordinance does not require training for beekeepers and then learning about swarming behaviors in the spring kind of reinforces our concern about the buffer zone close to native habitat. If they're prone to swarm and any resident can have a hive and doesn't know how to suppress swarming, that's a risk. I want to say that the territoriality of honeybees to native bees is a well-documented phenomenon. There are places where they can coexist fine, and there are other places where they're heavily impacting native pollinators. And yes, bees will pollinate on anything that they can get to, and so it's not just the matter of keeping honeybees out of native habitats, it's also taking care of the whole system. So yeah, we're removing mustard and removing all the non-native plants that native pollinators might go to, and hope that we would reinforce native habitats. I want to point out, I agree, and we can all agree on the many, many benefits of honeybees to human infrastructure. We can list them, there's thousands of benefits, but I want to just point out all those benefits exist within the human world. And the human is one species out of millions. And so it's okay. We can call that our environment, but it's not the environment. We can call it our ecosystem, but it's not the ecosystem. And so I appreciate everybody's desire to protect native bees and other native pollinators. But when we talk about thousands of beehives in Orange County, that's true. And we need to figure out a way to reduce the number of feral hives. But ecologically speaking, each ecology and habitat is local. So it doesn't really matter how many feral hives are in Orange County or in California or all around the world. What matters is in each locality, how are we going to steward the pre-existing plants and animals that were here long before us? I think that's all I want to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I just want to kind of reiterate or say that like even a 500 foot buffer, we're talking about Fairview Park, so that would be no beehives, not even one, on the bird streets, on the state streets. And where do we look at the park? Do we look at the beginning that's down like maybe by Placentia or way up there by Adams? And I mean, and that's just one park to consider. So you are eliminating a lot of residents, and there's a lot of old properties in that area that are big and would be considered conducive to having hives. And I don't know, the Talbert and Banning and I don't know what other parks, but are you saying just those 4 parks, those 4 big, and what about the Back Bay? I mean, again, you're just limiting residential residents from having a hive if they so choose. And then I also wanted to say, you know, the honeybee is our most efficient pollinators. I mean, we can't forget that. And native bees are important to our environment, but honeybees are too. I mean, you've probably heard it said, I mean, we say that 1/3 of all the food we eat has been touched by a honeybee. Honeybee is the only insect that gives us something that we can eat, which is honey, and many people use that as like medicinal or preventative for allergies and stuff. So to say that they are not important to our city and that we shouldn't have them here, I think is really a bad choice if the city would make that choice.
Thank you.
Over in the city of Fullerton, where I got beekeeping approved over there, we had something on the order of the verbiage, as long as your bees do not become a nuisance to others or infringe on your neighbor's ability to use their property or the public at large, the number of beehives will not be limited. Be a good neighbor and limit the number of hives that you keep to a reasonable amount. Doing so will ensure that you will be able to continue keeping that apiary well into the future. So again, in some locations, you may be only able to have 1. In other locations that have larger yards, you could have 4 or 5. And then a lot of it depends upon the size of the hive. Again, I can make hives that are 6 stories high, or I can have little tiny nucleus hives. All are considered a hive, but one has one whole hell of a lot more bees. I can have 90,000 bees in one and about 10,000 bees in a small nucleus hive. As far as the native pollinators, again, as far as the 500-foot boundary, you got to really look at how many wild hives are going to be in the surrounding areas already. I mean, there's literally thousands in walls and in valve boxes, in the shrubbery that's out there. Trying to eliminate them to protect the native bees is next to impossible. So by limiting some of your residents and not allowing them to have bees, 1 or 2 hives, just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody on Zoom?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Let's close public comment again.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion on the table.
Yeah, so I'll restate it for everyone's
yes.
reminder.
Yeah,
So,
we're all listening.
Attorney Barlow gave me some language for the last point. So it's approved staff recommendation with the 3 following changes. It's creating a 500-foot buffer only from the following 4 parks: Fairview Park, Talbot Park, Randall Preserve, and Newport Bay. Second is we allow ourselves to adjust the fee through resolution at a future time. I'll say at any time. And then the language for the hive conundrum was 2 productive hives plus any temporary expansions of said hives as necessary to suppress swarming. I'm getting nods.
To what?
Plus, so 2 productive hives, so like the 2 functioning hives, plus any temporary expansion as necessary to suppress swarming when the bees get all angry and like get out there and do damage, I guess.
We have a second. Councilmember Mar, are you still in second of that one?
Yes, I am.
Usually, yes.
Yes. So, okay, good stuff. Does anybody have anything else to say? All right, let's call for the question by voice vote.
Councilmember Chavez?
Yes.
Councilmember Gameros?
Yes.
Councilmember Harper? Councilmember Mar?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mayor Pro Tem Harlan?
Yes.
Mayor Stevens?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right. Welcome, bees. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, council. Thank you especially to Councilmember Chavez and Councilmember Mar. Okay, so now let's go on. We have 3 new business items. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title for new business item number 1?
Award of the 2024-2025 Citywide Parkway Maintenance, Street Rehabilitation, and Slurry Seal Project, City Project Number 24-03, and finding of California Environmental Quality Act categorical exemption. Presentation by Mr. Yang, City Engineer.
Right. Mr. Yang, why don't you just relax a little bit? Let's let the folks, the bee advocates, exit the chambers while we get it quiet again. All right, now you have our rapt attention. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So good evening, Mr. Mayor and honorable members of the City Council. My name is Sung Yang, your city engineer. So it's my distinct pleasure to introduce this next new business item, which is the 2024-2025 Citywide Parkway Maintenance, Street Rehabilitation, and Slurry Seal Project. So this particular project is an annual capital improvement or CIP project that we do every year to improve the city's streets, parkways, streets, and also slurry seal. So in essence, the scope of the work consists of phase 1, which is the parkway maintenance, which is localized repair of damaged curb and gutters, sidewalks, and we make sure it conforms to ADA standards, and installation of close to 2,900 square feet of new sidewalks. The second phase consists of the street rehabilitation, which is the removal and reconstruction of the damaged street pavement. And lastly is slurry seal, which is an application of a certain slurry seal, which is type 2, which is a pavement coating to ensure that the streets last a long time. So in addition to all that, the project will include bicycle improvements at 8 locations, pedestrian improvements as well, and also lastly, the court resurfacing at Balearic Park. In a nutshell, the contract amount of the low bidder was $9,163,000. Staff is requesting a 10% contingency in the amount of $916,300. The funding is as follows: gas tax, close to nearly $5.5 million. Measure M2 fair share, a little over $2 million. Capital Improvement Fund, a little over $1.5 million. And lastly, the Capital Improvement Fund for the Balearic Community Center for the asphalt surfacing project, $100,000. So as you can see here, these are representative of some of the improvements that we are embarking upon, which is Parkway. The left is we're installing a new sidewalk. To the right, we're probably improving the curb and gutter to improve some of the water ponding issues. On the bottom is the roadway, and essentially this is the road surfacing program, which consists of mill and overlay and also slurry seal, as mentioned before. So this is a little bit hard to see, but in essence, this is, as the name of the project states, is a citywide project, and we're doing street improvements, parkway improvements, and slurry seal throughout the city, which includes the Mesa Verde neighborhood, the east side, and also the west side, and other neighborhoods as well. And specific lists of streets are in your packet, and we have a map of the areas that we're improving upon. Some of the bicycle and pedestrian improvements, which is per the active transportation plan. What you see here is Mendoza Drive, for example. We're putting in new striping that consists of crosswalks and also Class 2 bicycle facilities as well. More improvements. This includes pedestrian improvements. There's a new crosswalk markings that are being put in at Town Center Drive. Also new crosswalk markings at Santa Ana Avenue and Ogle Street as well. New crosswalk markings at 18th Street and Wallace. And lastly, at Joanne Street and Meyer Place. This one is the Balearic Court resurfacing, as we mentioned before, at Balearic Park. So the idea is to improve the pavement with new asphalt surfacing and includes new facilities such as pickleball and basketball. And the plan is to have some community outreach to have a better design of this facility.
Excuse me for a second.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for the record, the reason I took a break was because I live within 500 feet of Balearic Park and wanted to know whether I needed to recuse myself, and she can confirm this, but what the city attorney said is because this is a whole citywide thing, if we recused ourselves, no one would be able to vote. So proceed.
That's essentially it, yes.
Okay, so the final recommendation is to make a finding of California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, for categorical exemption, adopt the plan, specifications, and working details of this project, which is the citywide parkway maintenance street rehabilitation slurry seal. Award a public works agreement, PWA, for construction to Onyx Paving in the amount of $9,163,000, and authorize the city manager and city clerk to execute the public works agreement with Onyx Paving. And lastly, authorize an additional 10% contingency in the amount of $916,300. So this is a great project. It's a significant scope, and I'd be remiss to say that this is one of the reasons through City Council's leadership that the city of Costa Mesa has a high PCI rating, second in the county, for populations of over 100,000. So that concludes staff's presentation, and staff is open to answering questions from the council. Thank you.
Questions, council? No? Okay. Did you want to be heard, city manager? You've got your light on. No? You're good? Okay. So anyhow, with no questions, let's open it up for public comment. Nobody's coming up. Zoom.
No, Mr. Mayor.
Close public comment. Motion. Harper. Wow. Yes. Councilmember Harper.
My motion is to approve approve the item as staff recommendation.
Second. Do you have anything to say to?
No, thank you very much for your hard work and your very short presentation. I appreciate it.
Yes, it's very good. As the second, I would say, the only other thing I'd say is, when you say we're the number, I want everybody to have this in perspective. When you say that we're the number 2 city in pavement condition index in the county of Orange, the county of Orange is the number 1 county in the state of California, which I'm not good at like algebra and stuff like that, but I think that means that we're the number 2 city above $100,000 residents in the state of California.
Oh,
So
I do have a comment.
that may or may not be true, but that's never stopped me before. Okay. Did you have something else?
No, I just want to know why we're not number 1. And
Yeah. Well, there's always a Irvine. We don't even count them anymore, right? So, all right. Let's call for the question.
And you can vote with your electronically now because Councilmember Marr has left the meeting.
Okay. Elvis has left the building.
Okay, motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Now we're moving on to new business item number 2.
Thank you. This is approve the acquisition of real property located at 778 Shalimar Drive, Costa Mesa, California, for evaluation of community serving public uses. Presentation by Ms. Gallardo Dali, Assistant City Manager.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council. Cecilia Gallardo Daly, Assistant City Manager. With me here is Sergio Escobar, a Management Analyst in the City Manager's Office. This item is the acquisition of property located at 77 Shalimar Drive for expansion of community serving uses. The subject property is a 4-unit residentially developed site that was listed for sale in May of 2024 at a sales price of $1,850,000. The property is adjacent to Shalimar Park, which is located in the West Side neighborhood along Shalimar Drive between Wallace Avenue and Placentia Avenue. In June of 2024, city staff identified the potential land acquisition of the property for additional community-serving public uses for the neighborhood. The availability of the property presents an opportunity for the city to potentially expand recreational amenities in the neighborhood, consider development of a community center with meeting space, and explore additional affordable housing opportunities. The city's real estate consultant, acting on behalf of the city as its broker, contacted the seller to express interest in the property, and city staff conducted an initial site visit of the property. In June of 2024, the City Council authorized a letter of interest to the seller to begin negotiations. In August of 2024, the City Council authorized staff to negotiate the property's price and terms. Based on the negotiations, the city attorney and real estate consultant drafted a real property purchase agreement that's attachment 1 to this agenda report. Pursuant to state law, prior to the acquisition of any real property, the Planning Commission is required to report on whether the proposed property acquisition is consistent with the general plan. On November 12, 2024, the Planning Commission adopted a resolution finding that the proposed acquisition of the property is in conformance with the general plan and not subject to the California Environmental Quality Act. Just some additional details regarding the property. As I mentioned, it's located adjacent to Shalimar Park. It's developed with a 4-unit multifamily building that was constructed in 1961. The lot is approximately 7,000 square feet, and the building area is approximately 3,400 square feet. 3 of the 4 units are unoccupied. Each unit is 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and there are approximately 19 tenants. These are photos of the subject site. City staff conducted a visit of the property, including visiting 3 of the 4 occupied units. Staff observed that the units and overall property are in poor condition and in need of substantial rehabilitation. Staff determined that should the city acquire the property, the 4-unit structure should be demolished and not occupied due to the extensive work needed to bring the property to code compliance while consideration of the property's future use is determined. The proposed real property purchase agreement includes the following provisions: a purchase price of $1,725,000, a $100,000 deposit into escrow within 30 days of approval of the purchase sale agreement, a due diligence period for the environmental assessment of any hazardous conditions on the property, including lead, asbestos, and soil contamination, and a 180-day escrow period to allow for the tenant relocation process. City staff will evaluate the property for community-serving uses, including expansion of Shalimar Park, creation of a community center, enhanced affordable housing, and any other possible community uses. One of the things we heard at the Planning Commission hearing on the general plan conformity from both the Planning Commission and members of the public is the consideration of community-serving uses beyond just an expansion of the existing park footprint. Now I'll turn the presentation over to Sergio to provide information about tenant relocation assistance and a timeline.
Thank you, Ms. Gallardo-Daly. So now we'll go ahead and talk about the tenant relocation, which is a two-step process. The relocation plan preparation is the first, and the relocation process is the second. And while this is a unique opportunity for the Shalimar neighborhood, it does impact the units occupying 778 Shalimar Drive. And as such, the city is working closely with the tenants to ensure that the transition is smoothly and handled with sensitivity. The city entered into a professional service agreement with Monument to assist the city in the relocation plan preparation and process in connection with the tenants occupying 778 Shalimar. In the first step, the relocation plan preparation, Monument will interview the occupants of impacted units, research the rental market for available replacement locations, and will prepare a relocation plan that will undergo 30-day plan review for comments. Upon completion of a 30-day plan review, city staff will present a relocation plan to the city council for review and approval. Subsequently, Monument will meet with all tenants to present the relocation benefits, inform them of available service and benefits, determine the eligibility for placement of tenants into comparable units. This step is anticipated to take 3 months. Upon completion, step 2 will begin, which is the relocation process. Here, Monument will assist tenants in locating replacement sites and provide written referrals, provide ongoing advisory assistance to tenants, coordinate and conduct inspections of the replacement site, and monitor the move to the replacement site. Additionally, Monument will prepare all benefit claim forms and submit to the city for processing and payment. During this process, the tenants will have the option to consider relocating to city-owned affordable housing units that are within the immediate vicinity. This will ensure that there's minimal disruption to their daily lives and displacement. This process is also expected to take 3 months. Altogether, the duration of both the relocation plan preparation and relocation process is anticipated to take six months, coinciding with the 6-month escrow period. So here, we have an overview of the property acquisition and relocation timeline. Earlier this month, city staff and Monument had a pre-kickoff meeting with the tenants. As noted earlier, the item went to the Planning Commission for general plan conformity on November 12th. Last week, Monument had a follow-up with the tenant, and we're currently here at the City Council for the consideration of approval for the property of 778 Shalimar Drive. Should the council approve this item tonight, the relocation plan preparation will begin in the coming days, where Monument will begin working with tenants to prepare a relocation plan by conducting interviews and obtaining necessary documents. Escrow is anticipated to open early December within 30 days of tonight's approval, should the council approve. The relocation process is anticipated to begin in early March, where Monument will work with the tenants to begin the relocation to the new units. And the project is anticipated to be completed in early June of 2025.
Staff recommends that the City Council determine the acquisition of the property is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, approve the acquisition of real property located at 778 Shalimar Drive, Costa Mesa, California 92627 for evaluation of uses, expansion of Shalimar Park, and any other possible uses, authorize the release of all contingency items related to the real estate purchase agreement, including appraisal and inspections, authorize a budget appropriation for the acquisition of the property, and authorize the city manager and city clerk to execute all real estate purchase documents, disclosures, escrow paperwork, and future authorized changes and amendments as necessary. That concludes the staff report on this item. Carlo Agian, our real estate broker, is available via Zoom, and we have a representative from Monument, the tenant relocation company, Daniela Borba, also available via Zoom, and we are available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Council, do you have any questions for staff regarding this item? Councilmember Harper?
Sure. What's the cost to relocate these renters?
We won't know until Monument conducts their interviews with the tenants to understand what their housing needs will be.
Do we know where they're going or where we take them, or what's the, I mean, I remember in our sessions we've had that there's an option to renovate something that the city owns.
Yes, that's correct. The city owns units in the James Street area, and some of those units are under renovation now as a potential location for these tenants to move to.
So don't know till you interview them, then you can assess what subsidy you want to provide to them. Is that how this works? I don't know. I'm just asking the cost, and you have no idea what the cost is going to be. I'm being respectful. I don't know.
We don't know what the relocation cost will be. That's correct.
No estimate at all.
Not at this time.
Not significant. Not significant. He's checking. Sergio's going to shake his head. No, it's not significant. Okay. Is there a projected idea what our cost to renovate this park is, or to make a community center, or to do whatever you want to do with it? What is it you're thinking? Is the cost to do it?
I don't think we have costs at this time. If we haven't determined what those future uses will be. That will occur through a community outreach process, and then we'll further develop a cost estimate.
So it's open-ended. Okay, here's my, and you know where I'm going with this because we've been in closed session, so forgive me, but I'm gonna get this on the record. Did we do a market rate capitalization valuation on this property based on the rents that exist? Did the staff or did the real estate agent do that?
I'm not familiar with that assessment.
It's a simple calculation of taking the rents that are paid in that market and assessing what a return would be at, say, 5.5%, and then coming up with what that property should sell for. It's really a simple calculation. I know a real estate agent did a broker opinion of value, which I don't find, comparatives don't matter. It's what an investor will invest in that area. And I'll just be frank with you. I did the calculation, and the value is around $960,000, which happens to be what this individual paid for it approximately 10 years ago. And so we're offering 1.725. Just ask him. No one had done that calculation. I had another question here. Let me check. How does this? Here's my next. So no, but I'm telling you what the valuation is based on that, and that's my concern about this property and about this. I totally support investing in the West Side. From the get-go, I've been there. I'm just not sure this is the right way to do it. How does this property exist and operate if it's not in code compliance? If there's code compliance issues, how do they operate? And why are those not corrected?
In a situation like that, the code compliance is, it's not a proactive approach to property conditions or nuisance abatement. It's if they get a complaint and they investigate, and through that investigation, they find that there are code violations. My understanding is that there were none on record for this property.
Okay, in your presentation, you said there were code compliance issues. I just heard it.
Upon our site visit to the property, we observed some code compliance conditions.
So they do exist?
Yes, they do.
Okay, we just didn't know about them because we're not pro. Is that how it works? Code compliance is only applied if someone complains?
Yes.
Dumb question, but okay. That's all I have. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anybody else? Okay. Let's open it up for the public. Anybody on Zoom?
Yes, Eric, please.
Eric, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, City Council. My name is Eric Jimenez, and I've been living on the west side of Costa Mesa for over 25 years, specifically in front of Shalimar on 18th and Wallace. As a co-founder of Brett Youth, a community-based organization currently focused on serving the Shalimar community, I recognize and am in full support of the city's decision to acquire the apartment building adjacent to Shalimar Park. However, we are concerned that demolishing it for the sole purpose of park expansion would create challenges in an already competitive and tight housing market. And so we'd like to suggest an alternative to completely demolishing the property for open park space. In consideration of our push for more community involvement, a secure and long-term community center, for example, on the bottom floor of the building where community leaders and parents can congregate would be an ideal alternative for our community to the public space. This way, residents can enjoy not only a brand new renovated park coming soon, but also a center where access to city resources, a meeting area, books, technology can be easily accessible. And as for the top floor, we'd like to suggest maintaining those residential units at an affordable income-based monthly rate. And for those living on the bottom floor, we do feel confident in the plan for relocating them. And so we are in support of that. And yeah, I mean, we appreciate your cooperation in helping the Shalimar community thrive. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
No further speakers.
Close public comment. Okay.
Kristen, please.
Kristen, you have the floor. Kristen? Christian?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, Christian.
Hey, hey, Mayor and City Council. My name is Cristian Garcia Arcos. I've been a resident of Shalimar for a little over 20 years now, and I really appreciate you all considering this and, really talking about what could potentially be, invested in the West Side, specifically this area. As you all know, Shalimar Think Together has been a very important centerpiece to our neighborhood, and so it's been 30 years and now it's closing. So it's very unfortunate that that's being taken away from this community, and having this opportunity to invest in another property that could bring that back, bring community back together the way Think Together did, is really, really encouraging. I really appreciate you all. um, I did also want to mention the comment that one of the councils mentioned was about the code compliance. Unfortunately, there is a lot of you know if someone complains, unfortunately the homeowners, what they do is they will find a way to kick you out once they find out. So it's very dangerous to talk about that. That's why you haven't heard about the complaints in those apartments or other apartments in Shalimar. I encourage that you check other locations near the area, and you'll find similar problems. But yeah, I'm very excited for what's to come, and thank you all for listening.
No further speakers.
All right, close public comment. So I'm going to make a motion to accept the staff recommendations.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Chavez. So I do think this is a really good opportunity. From my point of view, what motivates me to accept this is to address public safety and crime issues. We have as we saw today earlier with the presentation, a spectacular police department. And within the police department, we have a very, very good and attentive gang unit. This is an area that for decades has had a gang issue. And when we look at, so it's good to invest in things that are going to keep the community safer. And that's my intention in doing this, and to give tools to the community to make the community safer. So I like the idea to explore a community center. If there could be some housing on top, that's something interesting to explore. I'm less enthusiastic about just expanding the park, but I'm open to, in the second phase, when we decide what to do with this property, the feedback of the community and feedback of experts, feedback of our experts on the PD, to determine what can be done with this property to make a safer Costa Mesa and a safer west side of Costa Mesa. So that's my motion and my basis for it.
Thank you, Mayor Stevens. It does bring me joy to have you make the motion. It's my pleasure to serve Shalimar as a council member, and over these past 6 years, seeing the resiliency of that community, honestly, the American spirit of coming to this country and trying to improve your family and your environment. They face struggles, we know it. Those struggles do emanate to the city during some times. But what I'm most excited about is the continued investment in that community. It took a lot of work to get the community to trust the city. And it's been no small part due to city staff, due to PD, fire, nonprofit groups, but we're now at a place where we can help them define their future. This acquisition, in my eyes, is exciting for the community because I want to hear what they want to do. Obviously, I agree with the mayor. I'm really curious about the idea of doing a community center plus housing, but really I'm most excited about hearing what the community wants. So I hope everyone will support this motion. This part of town needs a bit of love, needs a bit more investment, and quite frankly, we have an opportunity to do something inspirational and life-changing for this part of Costa Mesa.
Do any other council members wish to be heard on this? Okay, Councilmember Harper.
Harper,
yes.
yeah.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. You know, as I conclude my life on council, this is one of my last no votes. So I'm going to vote no on this. It's not because I don't appreciate your intent and your desire to make things better and invest in that community. I agree with it. And initially, when this came up, I was all for, expanding something there. But I think it's a patch that doesn't involve that community. And we talked about lack of code enforcement. And you've got lack of code enforcement or lack of compliance with code in a lot of other apartments in that area, and they don't get fixed in the long term and in a broader sense until you start changing that market. And you have to invest larger than this. I think we're paying about $700,000 too much for this property. It's easy to spend when it's not your money, but my nature is not to overspend for things. There's lots of places to invest that money. But I think there's a bigger plan, and I talked about it in closed session. I won't say it here, but there is a bigger plan that you can do something more in a bigger sense in that community, leverage what we have, leverage the money we're going to spend here, and fix things in a broader sense. And that's where I'm coming from when I vote no for this. Two reasons. That one, it doesn't solve code enforcement or code compliance in other areas, which needs to be solved. And the third thing, it doesn't really evolve the community. And it doesn't add to housing. We reduce housing, and that's what we're trying to solve. It's tricky, but I think there's partnering with the developer in a bigger sense in that community and using that park around that park and the value of that park is a much better option. So I'm going to vote no. I could vote yes on this if we were closer to the market rate, and then I'd play along and I'd still push for the bigger option. But for now, I got to vote no. But thank you.
Okay.
Right. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, of course. Mayor Pro Tem
Just a
Harlan.
quick comment and maybe a bit of a rebuttal to my colleague. I mean, there is no bigger plan. There may be a concept of a plan, but the only thing that we have before us is acquisition of a property adjacent to a park site in a neighborhood that has had severe and significant and persistent public safety issues. I think this is actually a rare opportunity. I'm very pleased to support this because we need to start somewhere. We can't wait for the perfect big plan. We have to build on something and start small. And I think we actually are in a very good position because there is a plan in place to update Shalimar Park. So we're going to leverage that. And I appreciate that we have some flexibility here to figure out what final use will happen on this property, whether it's housing, a mixture with a community center, or even additional park space. That's something for council to consider later. But I think that's in the best interest of this neighborhood, and I know that people will be involved. And that's the way to make progress within this neighborhood.
So I just have a couple other things I want to say. Number one is there are, Councilmember Harper mentioned the evaluation process, which is an income-based valuation process. There's also what's called the market-based valuation process. It looks at comps. My understanding is that's what our broker did. But I think on its face, knowing that the average price of a home, like a small home in Costa Mesa, is in excess of $1 million, I think the assertion that the value of this property is $900,000 just doesn't pass the reasonableness test. So I don't know what the value of this is. But I do know this is if we can divert 10 children a year, or maybe even 5 children a year, into a more productive path that doesn't involve getting involved in the system, the justice system, this will not only help them, but it'll multiply in terms of the public safety in that area over generations and generations. And this will be a moment right now that we're very proud of. And there was one other thing I wanted to say. Oh, and I don't want to be snarky. Look, it's his last time to vote no and all that stuff.
Go ahead.
But I remember it's my last time. It's also my last time to be snarky.
Go ahead.
Is years ago when I was, believe it or not, I was a high school student, and it will come as no surprise to you that I participated in debate. And I remember what the debate coach used to tell me is, whenever you can't think of another argument, always say it's too expensive. Let's call for the question.
No, I have a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I am a little tired of your snarkiness, John.
I hardly ever do snarky.
I've listened to it for 4 years. I've listened to you be snarky about the experience I have in land development. I've heard those comments. And that, if you don't have a vision, if you don't think beyond little places, you don't get anywhere. And the fact that I'm concerned about the fiscal responsibility of a city spending taxpayer money, I don't think that deserves your comment. Not at all. You can't say, oh, we're going to save 10 lives because we're going to build a community center. There's nothing that says that. Where's that data? Where's that argument? That's out of your. It's unbelievable. So, I'm the only one here that's done development, the only thing that understands it and sees a bigger vision. For 30 years, I've been here in this community and listened to people talk about when is the West Side going to get developed? When is it going to change? And this just patches a problem. It just patches a problem. That's all it does. And you can talk about your intentions and this is an opportunity in front of us. You lack vision. That's all I can say.
All right, thank you. Let's call for the question.
I'm walking out.
No. Councilmember Harlan? You can't do it? Okay. Can you state your vote, please?
No.
Councilmember Harlan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harlan? And, okay. Motion carries 4-1 with Councilmember Harper voting no.
All right. So we're moving on to our last item, new business item number 2.
Thank you. This is
Sorry, new business item number 3.
This is adoption of salary and benefit resolutions for the Costa Mesa Division Managers Association, Confidential Management Unit, and Executive Employees. Presentation by Ms. Lee, Human Resources Manager.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and the City Council members. Tonight, we bring forth adoption of salary and benefit resolutions resulting from our final round of negotiations with our employee groups for our Costa Mesa Division Managers Association, our Confidential Management Unit, and our executive employees. Some background on the CMDMA negotiations. The previous side letters and resolutions covered years 2020 to 2024. In February 2024, CMDMA requested to commence negotiations. Labor and Key Management negotiated in good faith in proposing amendments to the salary and benefits resolutions for your consideration and approval. These applicable negotiation provisions for CMDMA also apply to the non-represented employees in the Confidential Management Unit and executive employees. The key provisions of the CMDMA resolution include a 3-year term, July 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2027, salary wage increases of 3.75% effective July 2024, 3.75% effective July 2025, and 3.5% effective July 2026. Also an agreement to conduct a market analysis for the following classifications: Energy and Sustainability Services Manager, Recreation Manager, Public Affairs Manager, and Neighborhood Improvement Manager. And also a $300 a year increase to the professional development reimbursement for a total of $1,300 per fiscal year, and also include reimbursement for activities that support employees' mental and physical health. And these key provisions also apply to the CMU and executive employees, which includes also a 3-year term, a 3.75% increase in July 2004. For this group, there's also an additional 1.25% increase for the deputy police chief and assistant fire chief to address compaction and internal alignment, for a total increase in July 2024, 5% for those 2 positions, 3.75% increase for the group for July 2025, and 3.5% increase effective July 2026. Also included is a salary and wage increase for the city manager under the executive resolution, 3.75 increase, however, she's aligned to the January 2025 schedule, 3.75% increase in January 2026, and 3.5% increase effective January 2027. Also an increase of $300 per fiscal year for a total of $1,300 for the division managers and $2,300 for the department directors. This also includes reimbursement for activities that support employees' mental and physical health. Fiscal impact analysis were prepared and certified and posted pursuant to the City Council policy. For fiscal year 24-25 for all groups, the total is $340,000. For fiscal year 25-26, total is $332,000. Fiscal year 26-27, $322,000, for a 3-year cumulative impact of $995,567. Recommendations today is for council to approve and adopt the salary and benefits resolution for CMDMA, CMU, and the executive employees. Authorize the city manager and the city's negotiation team to execute these resolutions and appropriate into the respective departmental budgets. And these salary and benefits updates support the city's strategic plan goals to recruit and retain high-quality staff and strengthen the public safety and improve the quality of life. And staff is available to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions, council? No? Let's open it up for the public comment. Oh, yeah, sure. Councilmember Chavez.
I have one question. It's on page 6 of the PowerPoint. Do we generally include city manager when we do confidential raises? I thought in my understanding that that's the only employee that the council directly directs. So those are separate category for them?
It's been both ways in the past. Generally, the city manager and their benefits is included in the executive resolution. However, there may be an individual agreement for separate benefits or salary, but generally, the city manager's information has always been included with the executives.
So to paraphrase, we have done it this way and we have not done it this way before. So there's like a gray area. Like sometimes it's added with everyone else, sometimes it's done independently.
It's been done both ways in the past.
What's the most recent way we've done it?
There's been individual agreements, but those are typically incorporated into the executive resolution. So we always still include it, but she may have, or the position may have, different benefits depend on what was separately negotiated.
Okay, and I know it's hard because I'm referring to, and I adore her dearly, just want clarity. Okay, so are you saying that this increases what we've already negotiated before?
That we negotiated for the executive group and applied to the city manager as well to maintain the alignment and differentials. With the other groups, yeah.
If we don't include the city manager's raises, does another city employee make more money than a city manager?
No.
Okay. That's it for now. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Harlow.
That's okay.
Okay. Open it up for public comment. See none in the chambers. Anybody on Zoom?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Close public comment. So I'm going to make the motion to accept the staff recommendation with the exception of the section 6 and 10 to the resolution attached to attachment 3 pertaining to the city manager, and to defer decisions about compensation increases regarding the city manager to consistent with section 4 of her contract, where it says that adjustments should be subject to adjustments which may be approved by the mayor and the city council following performance evaluations of employee as provided in section 2D of the above, and also to, as part of my motion, commit and direct this council and staff to do that evaluation in the first quarter of 2025.
A second.
Okay.
Sorry. I want clarity just because
sure.
I asked questions. And obviously we need to have 4 votes because only 4 was left. So we're going to be reevaluating city manager's package in January.
Right. So the last, to answer your question, the last 2 times that we've looked at this, we've increased the city manager, pursuant to our negotiations. The last amendment is dated December 19th, 2021, and it calls for step increases on July 2023, 24, which have happened in July, January 1st, 2023, January 1st, 2024, and January 1st, 2025. That number happens to be 3%. So what I included in my motion is in the first quarter of 2025, we will go through this process.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that. Again, my understanding was city manager is different than any other employee. The only thing I will ask is that I know last time we had a really robust process. I don't think we need to be as robust. But again, we have 4 votes, so we need 4 yeses. So
I do agree with that comment. Yes. Okay. If there's nobody else, seconded, Jeff? Yes, you have questions. Yeah.
Well, unless you're bringing it to vote, I'm going to vote no.
Okay.
I want to ask questions, so don't.
No, go ask questions.
So I want to defer to the city attorney on this, and I want to know what we're basing this change on. Are we basing it on the fact that we don't normally do it this way? Are we breaking a rule? Are we breaking a law? Is it What's it a matter of that we're not doing it this way? And if, I guess I'm going to direct it to the city attorney because I'm not quite sure on this. So help at least me out with this, please.
There is a contract. It makes provision for certain things. The council is free to alter that by, for example, approving the resolution this evening, in which case we would bring back a modification to the existing contract. The council is also able to defer this until the performance evaluation. I think either of those options are legally available to the council.
So we could make the change right here on the floor and just bundle, I hate to use the word, but bundle her in with everybody else.
Yes, you could do that.
And we're not breaking any law or anything by doing that, right?
No, what I would say is that would require us to bring back, that would effectively be direction to us to amend that contract. We would bring it back as amended to your next city meeting, your next substantive city council meeting. Yeah, in January.
And then were we already set to do this in January already, and the change that we're doing now is something different than what we were supposed to do?
No, the performance evaluation normally would have occurred by now, which would then have triggered the contractual 3% increase to take effect. I'm not sure exactly when. Cosma, do you know exactly when?
It would have been January.
So are we behind the ball on this?
Well, you will need to make any increase retroactive to be consistent and compliant. Right now, you have not done the performance evaluation. You could decide that you don't need to do that and approve it this evening if you wish.
Okay, then my next question is, when we did our performance evaluation last time, were we late last time?
Yes, sir.
By how long?
5 months, I think. No, longer, more than a year.
Probably
2 years.
2 years.
Okay.
It was 2
Long time.
evaluations, and both were 2 years late.
And how long have we known that this date was coming up where we were supposed to do this performance evaluation?
The contract says what it says.
Okay, whose responsibility then is it to make sure that we should have done this in a timely fashion?
That's not a legal question.
What's that?
I said that's not a legal question.
It's not a legal question. So it bothers me that we didn't act, in my opinion, on someone's behalf when we're talking about money and reviews and stuff like that. And we're trying to play catch up with finances. These are very personal items for people. We're talking about people's money. How they spend the money is none of my business. But I just want to say for the record that it bothers me that we didn't do this in a timely fashion. We should have done it this way to begin with. The fact that we're not doing it and we're trying to play catch up and now we're making this change, I don't like that. No offense to anyone, but I'm not going to support this because I think that we should just get this done, get it taken care of. The last time we went to this through a big review process, everything was fine. I just don't want to be holding this up, to be honest. We're already behind the ball. I didn't know that we were behind the ball on this. So I'm not going to support it unless we want to make a change on it. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I think just being very candid, there's only 4 of us here. So we have to all be in alignment. And I have one question to ask. If we don't vote yes on this item, right, because of one condition, of one component that I feel like we have to figure out who's in charge of the reviews, because it's not fair to city manager. It's not fair to put them in that position. I also don't want to have other employees not get raises that were already allocated. So we really have two options here. And I'm not sure this votes for either one, but we can either approve as is, knowing that we dropped the ball on the city manager portion, or we can just make everyone wait until like a month, 2 months from now.
So
I need to correct something I said a minute ago. I said it's not a legal question of whose responsibility is. That's not true. The city council as a body employs the city manager. So it is the city council's responsibility to perform that performance evaluation.
Okay.
I'm not trying to weigh in on either side. I'm just realizing that what I said was not exactly accurate.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that clarity. So I'm just going to say this. It's going to be one of two things, it sounds like. Nobody gets a raise or everybody gets a raise. If I vote no, then nobody gets a raise.
All right, I'm just gonna bite the bullet, Lauren.
Can I jump in here?
Yes, of course. You could have the floor.
Please, thank you. Kim, you I think mentioned we only have one employee contract. That's with the city manager, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so regardless of who the city manager is, the last several agreements that the council's had with that office have been by contract, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So in 2019 was the original employment agreement with Lorianne.
Correct.
Every time we've made a modification to the compensation, it's been through a contract amendment, and we have 3 of those.
That's true. I will say, though, that the original contract, I think, provided for performance metrics to be established within a short period of time. That was not done. I also believe that the performance evaluation schedule, as pointed out, has not been complied with.
Okay. My only kind of just looking at the history here, it just looks like we've always done it by an agreement. And it is a little difficult since only a portion of the council is here to vote on something like this. So I'm inclined to allow everybody else to proceed because I think that was properly negotiated for all of those employees. But it seems like what was proposed by the city manager here can be and probably should be dealt independently by the full council.
So I don't disagree with that, and I don't mean to interrupt, but it should have been done in a timely fashion.
Okay.
And it didn't, and it's on us to do that. So we're talking 0.75% and just getting this thing done. I feel like bundle it in, get it done, move on.
Right. But
No
it's-
offense.
But it's nobody's taking an offense, at least I'm not. But,
Okay, good.
But it's easy. It's easily remedied. Let's follow the contract. I mean, I signed this contract on behalf of the city of Costa Mesa. Do think we should follow it. We didn't do it in the fall. I will accept my share of accountability to that. The fall of every election year is super important. Sorry, and it's super distracting. And so if I didn't pull a trigger and get this going, it's on me as council, as our city attorney said. It's on the whole council, right? So anybody could have brought it up, and I'll accept my share of responsibility for that. However, it's easily remedied by moving forward swiftly, getting it done in Q1, having it retroactive as of the first of the year, and and that's very similar to what we've done in both. We haven't hit the mark in any timing of this contract, right? And that's on us. I get it. There was a pandemic. There's elections. We're human. We need to fix it. We need to do the evaluation. But I don't think we should deviate from going forward with the evaluation as it says right here in the contract, something we did negotiate and I signed.
Yeah, I'm just going to comment. Again, I'm mindful of the members of council on the dais, and I'm doing that very openly because I think it'd be different if there was more people here. I will vote yes on anything because I just feel like I have to in this position where there's only 4 of us here. I do think in an ideal world, we would have done what we had to do for the city manager. It is not fair for the city manager that we've consistently not done the proper evaluations. And I'm not blaming anyone. I'm at fault too among city council. I felt comfortable including city manager in this as well, just because of the fact that we haven't done our due diligence, and it's not fair for anyone, including them, to be in this position. I also don't want to withhold raises for anyone else. So that's where I'm at. I'll vote yes on anything, just because there's only 4 of us. But I think we got better in terms of timing, but we got to get to the mark.
So I'm going to repeat where I stand on this publicly because we have to make this public. I'm under protest that we include everybody except for the city manager. I understand that there was an obligation We had a contract, you signed it, but once again, we didn't meet our obligation. We have a chance to do it now. It's not that much money. I don't really think, we have no legal ramification for doing this, I've been told. So I'm under protest with this for a number of reasons. One of them is this is not the first time we dropped the ball, and I'm not blaming any one person. I just don't think it's right that everybody else gets a ball and someone doesn't, more or less, so.
Okay. You're clearly on the record. Does anybody else have anything to say?
I'm going to support Gameros in this one. I want to make a substitute motion to approve staff recommendation.
Right. Can I just offer a point of fact here, Councilmember Gameros? And I don't want to belabor this, but had we done an evaluation in the time period, the city manager still would have received, pursuant to her contract, a 3% raise effective January 1st, 2025. What I struggle with here is not just the increase to 3 3/4, but building in a guaranteed increases over the next 3 years. That has implications for future negotiations with whatever city manager. We're kind of skipping things here. I'm just trying to adhere to process, and I totally agree. We as a council did not do what we needed to do as far as a performance evaluation, but I don't think that then warrants making drastic changes to a contract and not doing it in a contract.
So the Mayor Pro Tem's point is, we're not just talking about January 1st, 2025, which, as I said, we can easily address with a retroactive action, but we're talking about 26 and 27, which, you know, that's in the section 6 of the resolution, and that's clearly beyond the scope of anything we've negotiated. So, I mean, you know, listen, I've made my points.
Okay, can I?
I'm gonna vote in favor of my original motion.
So,
and so,
so
I
Mr.
don't know
Mayor,
what this-
I did call for a substitute motion. I'm curious if Gameros wants to take a second at it. I did make a motion to approve staff recommendation.
So I'm gonna make a substitute.
No, hold on one second. Are you not, you're, what is your
My second is just to approve staff recommendation. If it dies for like a second, Gameros can do his own motion.
Okay.
So Gameros, do you want to support my motion or want to do your own?
Oh, I'll support your motion, but I'm also trying to negotiate and find a middle ground on this, so.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I would like, my motion is that we support the first increase and then make the other two contingent on the interview and doing a performance evaluation. Like what Jeff said, we're automatically building it in where she automatically gets one. Okay, fine. Don't build the other two in, but she gets this one now because we dropped the ball. This is our fault. We need to own it. We dropped the ball, give her the one, and then the other two will be in a timely fashion.
I'll second that.
Can I ask for clarification? That would be at the recommended 3.75?
Yes.
Thank you.
does he have a second?
I second it, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's call for the question. I'm gonna vote yes. Okay.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, good. So we're gonna adjourn in honor and memory of Larry Campo.